with us as much as possible today. Today we have a very select group of speakers who have different topics, and they're all going to share on different aspects around technology and around entrepreneurship. Without any further ado, I'd like to start by introducing the entire panel today. We start with the Programs Directory for Refactory. Now, his name is Michael Nietegeka. Now, he's going to be speaking on building a career in tech and opportunities in tech. I feel like, I hope, by the way, before you leave, there is a very amazing display right above here for Refactory that I would love for you to experience. That's what? Part 2 of the Nssf Career Expo. We said explore, experience, and engage. And there is a booth here for Refactory that I would love for you to come and experience. Personally, I want to experience what's happening here. I think there's virtual reality as well. And I want you guys to do that as well. So, without any further ado, speaking on building a career in tech and opportunities in tech, the Programs Directory for Refactory. A round of applause for Michael Nietegeka. Joining me on stage. We'll get some walk music, Alicia. You know, these guys, it's a Friday. We need them to walk a little bit with a little music, a little step in their groove. How you doing, sir? Good, good. His name is Matthias Kamugasho, one of the founders of Service Corps. And today, he'll be speaking about one thing: breaking out of your shell. If you've been feeling like there's something budding inside you, you're bubbling inside you, and you have some brilliant idea that as you're about to explore, Matthias is here to give us just that. A round of applause for Matthias. All right. 2 more members joining me on the stage. Now, you saw this lady on day 1. She did an amazing job on the stage. She was your very first moderator, and I assisted. And she decided, you know what, I'm back for day 3. I want to drop some knowledge on these young, brilliant minds. The head of marketing and communications from Nssf, Miss Barbara Teddy Arimi. Hey. Louder, 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 yeah. How are you, Barbara? Good, good. There you go. And last but not least, also joining me on the stage is, we were blessed to have the MD from Nssf, Mr. Richard Biarogaba, joining us on day 1. But they decided to send another deadly substitute in the building, who's also going to be speaking to us today and giving us a little more insight on how we can become the future entrepreneurs and tech-savvy young people that we are. All right? He is the Deputy Managing Director of Nssf. Alicia, I need some music for him right now. Make some noise for Mr. Patrick Ayota. Yeah, I've been told Patrick dances. Alicia, we need something. Welcome, Patrick. All right, just to reintroduce from my right all the way to the end of the panel, we have Miss Barbara Teddy Arimi, the head of marketing and communications at Nssf. She's right here. We have Mr. Patrick Ayota, the deputy managing director of Nssf. He's the gentleman there with the glasses and the dance moves. I hope we get to see some today. Alicia, it's the only way we can end day 3. Also, we have Mr. Matthias Kamugasho, the founder of Service Corps, and he'll be speaking on breaking out of your shell. He's right here as well. And at the end of the stage, Right here, we have Mr. Michael Nietegeka, the Programs Directory for a Factory, and he's going to be speaking on building a career in tech and opportunities in tech. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our panel for day 3, and I think we can get started. But normally, I like to go off the cuff. I like to just get to know our panelists a little bit better. For those of you that maybe do not know who these distinguished lady and gentlemen are on this stage, I want to start with Barbara. You know, Barbara, you were with us on day 1, but you didn't give us your story. You jumped right straight in, and we got the conversation flowing. But we want to get to know Barbara a little bit more. You know, you're the head of marketing and communications in Nssf. What is a day in the life for Barbara Arimi?
Thank you so much. Well, first of all, I focus on 2 key things on a daily basis: to add value to the Nssf brand, and also to ensure that actually we generate leads for the business. So that means that we are really focusing on a wide array of activities on a daily basis, ranging from managing the media, through to managing the brand, through to interactions like these ones, managing stakeholders, coming up with solutions for customers in terms of product solutions. And so my day is usually very interesting because I have several activities that I engage in, and of course, plus also the people aspect in terms of engaging with the team and supporting them. So my day is not really cast in stone. It's very fluid. I don't have a standard day.
It flows. You just go with the flow. What comes to your table, you deal with it.
It's very fluid, yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Right next to Barbara is the Deputy Managing Director of Nssf, Mr. Patrick Ayota. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, good. How are you?
Good, good, good.
All right.
It's day 3 of the Nssf Career Expo. We have some brilliant minds that have been joining us each and every day, day 1, day 2. And we also had the online crowd that is actually live streaming right now on YouTube, on Zoom, and the different online platforms. I want to ask you, in your day-to-day, how has tech been an advantage to you? How has technology been an assistance in what you aim to achieve each and every day as the Deputy Managing Director of Nssf?
Thank you very much. And for some of you who may be here, I am from that little great district called Tororo. So if you are from there, and then secondly, maybe what I want to encourage you guys, I'm from the village. So if you are not from the city or from the village, there is hope for you. So don't give up in that process. And many of you know, in going through physics and you learned about levers, fulcrum, pulleys, that was technology. Basically, it enables you to deliver service and product faster, cheaper, or with less effort. So on a day-to-day basis for me, that's what technology does for me, that I can, in the morning, look at my performance for for yesterday, and I can tell where we are going, the trends, what's happening in that process. We can create things and let technology basically build that. It's a tool that helps us deliver what we want to deliver.
Technology is a tool that helps us deliver. It should never be a hindrance. It is always a tool in your hand that helps you deliver. That's already one point out. If you're jotting down, that's one takeaway for today. We have next to Mr. Patrick, we have Matthias, the founder of Service Corps, is also in the building. How are you doing today, sir? Good, good. On your topic today, in career and tech, are there different things, are there different aspects that we're going to learn from you today? Are there touch points that you can just briefly outline for us that we're going to dive into today in the conversation?
Yeah, thank you. I'll basically have 2 points. I'll speak to 2 elements. I'll speak to business.
Sorry about that. Let's just get the mic to him real quick. And we can...
Thank you. Thank you. I'll basically be talking about 2 areas. The area of business where I'm a businessman. Yeah, thank you. There will be two perspectives about business and about IT. I'll share insights in terms of the skill set, in terms of the new areas where, as a person interested in tech business, where should you focus? Where are the opportunities? What are the emerging trends in terms of the new skill set that is needed in the business? And then I'll be sharing a bit of my story on how I've been able to co-found, I've been able to operate out of Uganda in a couple of other African countries that I believe should be an interesting experience to share. Thank you.
Let's just get the, yeah, good. All right. And finally, on the end of the stage, we have Mr. Michael Niategeka, Program Director for Refactory. Just in a brief, what happens at Refactory? I'm seeing a very interesting display up there, and I'm seeing a lot of creatives. I feel like your booth has been pulling a lot of faces and a lot of heads throughout the expo. Just give us a sneak peek at what actually happens at Refactory.
At Refactory, we re-engineer people. Those that felt at one time they had a passion in joining the tech space, specifically software engineering. But because of the way education is defined here, education couldn't permit them to. We take them on and enable them to go ahead and practice that they are very passionate about. So Refactory principally takes on people that have a passion in software engineering, and over a period of 3 to 9 months, we deliver what I would call a junior software engineer. And we've been doing that for the last 3.5 years, trained close to 350 people, and about 90% have found employment within the first 6 months.
All right. Are there any future software engineers in the building? Maybe just a raise of hands if anyone is interested in software engineering. All right, so before you leave today, make sure you talk to that man. And make sure you ask a couple of questions, insightful questions, so we can also provide information and also learn. I feel like when we go to these expos, everyone comes to the expo expecting to learn from the speakers. But there's always a way that they can also learn from you. What are your needs? What are your challenges? And we're able to address those today on day 3, the final day of the Nssf Career Expo. I'm just going to request the members on the first floor, if you're moving any furniture, please lift the furniture. All right? Just requesting the members on the first floor, if you're moving furniture, please raise the furniture, don't drag the furniture. All right, a round of applause for our panel who have been joining us today. So, I'll start with Michael, We're talking about building a career in tech and opportunities in tech. Now, a lot of people, and I know there's a lady here, I don't know if she's here today, Joey, the rapper. I don't know if she's here. Is she here? No, she's not. Maybe she's on her way. So, opportunities in tech, the reason why I bring this up is because she introduced a very interesting dynamic to influencing. These days everyone has a smartphone, and with a smartphone you could influence someone else to do something, to buy a product, to be somewhere, to attend this type of event. And she introduced a new idea called rapfluencing, where she raps about your product and says, I can rap about this phone and make you buy this phone. I can rap about the expo and make you come to the expo, I want to dive into opportunities in tech. How far is the horizon, the scope of what we're able to actually achieve? And for the minds that are here that want to dive into technology, how does one build a career in tech if they've never had any prior information or training or learning in that field? How does one build a career in tech?
I just need to get your name because I don't just want to call him.
No, Timothy Code.
Timothy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I thought they had another specific name. Timothy?
Yes.
The World Bank in 2021 did a study in sub-Saharan Africa. And sub-Saharan Africa typically includes the East Africa, Egypt. So your geography should help you. Sub-Saharan Africa. And that study revealed that close to 230 million jobs in sub-Saharan Africa by 2030 will be digitized. 230 million jobs in sub-Saharan Africa by 2030 will be digitized. We're in 2022, 8 years to go. And of the 230 million jobs, less than 10 million will be IT jobs. So the other jobs are in other functions. Marketing, sales, hospitality. Literally, every job you can think about is going to have a digital component in it. At one time I said that you will either be a developer of software or a user of software, two things. But you can also choose to influence software. So the opportunities are this. It's a whole horizon, if I could put it that way. If it's not in Africa, it's anywhere. Our first cohort at Refactory, we admitted a lady who was a radio programmer. She had worked on radio for close to 10 years as a radio programmer and once in a while a program host. And she tweeted in March, it was end of Feb 2019, end of Feb 2019, and asked the question, how difficult is it to write code? And I sent her the link and I said, Olive, apply for this. End of November 2019, she was hired by a company in Liverpool, UK, as a software engineer. She's never left Uganda. She's paid by the hour. First degree, management studies, Chambogo. She's now a software engineer. And there are many other stories that I can share. So for anybody who is thinking about technology, for anybody who is thinking about being in this space, you're either going to be a user of tech or you're going to be a developer of tech. But you can also choose to be a user for the sake of using. And there's also the option of using for the purpose of developing yourself. And that brings me to the rapper, who decides that I'm not just going to be a rapper, I am going to use rapping to make money and rap influencing. So the one thing I would like to encourage all of us to think about and ask yourself, and I hope I can challenge you today to think about that, is that how digital, your level of digital competence. So forget about you having a smartphone and start thinking about what does it mean for me to have the level of digital competence to use technology for my proficiency. And when you start answering those questions, then you're beginning to appreciate what technology is all about.
All right. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yes. Very, very insightful there. I like when you said that this person, got a job purely online, got a degree online, got hired online, and has never actually left the country. And it's something that I pointed out on day 1 and on day 2 as well. The biggest advantage to me, and especially in this digital age, is that you could actually work for a company and never have to leave your geographical location. Which means, for example, you could work for, you said it was World Bank. She was working for World Bank. For?
No worries.
I think Liverpool. It was Liverpool, yes. So the company that you work for, this could be your office right here at Motive, with your laptop, your internet connection, and all the knowledge that you've acquired online. And you could provide a service to a company in another country entirely. We've been seeing how many people do transactions left, right, and center from different countries across borders, and the money is definitely moving, but it never actually changes hands geographically. But that is the beauty of tech and the career opportunities that we can actually avail ourselves in tech. I want to break away from tech just a bit and get to the inspirational and more motivational side of this particular expo. And that is, well, the inspiration of breaking out of your shell. And to speak about that today is Mr. Matthias Kamugasho, from the founder of Service Corps. We're talking about breaking out of your shell. A lot of young people, and this is one of my key points from the last day's conversation and engagement, is that fear of starting, that fear of breaking out, that fear of, I want to get into tech, but I don't know. I've never learned these things. I've just found out about it on a smartphone. How best can a young person address that fear of breaking out of their shell?
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. I'll start a bit by explaining and giving a bit of background about Service Corps. I'm sure a couple of you have never heard of that company. Techies and tech companies are always not like Coca-Cola in terms of marketing. So Service Corps is a fintech. We are involved in developing solutions, technology, for banks, for telecoms. Some of you are in school, if you have heard of School Pay, that is one of our solutions. It helps with payment of school fees. As a company, we are now in 5 countries in Africa. The recent addition is Ethiopia, where I've been a few days back. So I will now address the interests of people who want to be entrepreneurs. And I'll speak to the fear. The fear is actually not bad, because most people think if you fear, it's bad. Fear is good, because it brings consciousness, it allows you to make decisions, it allows you to plan. The fear that is bad is the fear to start. You should never fear to fear, but you should always fear to start. You should always start. Now, for you to be involved in business, you definitely must be interested in business. You must have a purpose why you want to do business. Because I am one of those few people who believe that you can succeed anywhere. You can succeed as an employee, you can succeed as a civil society person. But for you to have that specific purpose, specific interest, why you want to do business. It could be money, it could be creating impact. So if you want to do something, and just like I mentioned, you agree to start. When you start, the key requirement is that you must learn. I'm a former banker, I've ever had a stint in banking, but one of the key things that took me to the bank was to learn how organizations operate. Why do we have somebody at the top? Why do we have somebody in the middle? Why do we have to take instructions from up? It was very fascinating for me to understand all that setup, so that 7 years later and 12 years from that time, I started my own organization that now employs over 100 employees in Uganda.
Nice.
Largely fintech, most of them are techies. Yeah, so the most important point is do not fear to start. And for you to start, you must have a purpose, the interest. Why are you doing this business? Are you interested in business? Because I must tell you, business is not a piece of cake. As you grow from 1 employee in 2009 when we started to over 100 employees now, the risk keeps shifting. The first one was looking for business. Now you got business. The next element of risk is how do you comply with the regulators? How do you position yourself? How do you scale business from Uganda to another business? How do you operate an office where you are not physically seated? So what I must mention is that interest and purpose. Why do you want to do the business? That is key. Then from there, you can learn. Everything is possible. I'm not a techie myself, but I'm doing technology business for telecoms, for banks, for different. It is about interest and focus, I should say. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Matthias there. There's something I wanted to just open thought and food for thought. Of the two things, what do you think is worse? Is it the fear or is it the failure? For many people, it's the failure and not the fear. For many people, they say, if I fail, I wouldn't be able to, get back on my feet. It's not that they're actually scared of the actual engagement. I'm pretty sure tech is exciting. Tech is engaging. And I don't think that is the bigger problem. I think the bigger problem is that failure part. That if you put your foot forward and it doesn't work out, you say to yourself, I failed. This is not for me. Let me go back to something else that probably I'm not interested in, but is an easier bet in life. I say to that, failure is literally on the way to success. It's on the way to success. Fear, no, not so much. Failure is on the way to success. You conquer the fear, and even if you fail, you already made your steps towards something. For example, let's look at your journey as a linear path, right? Let's say the length of this stage is your linear path, and this is your starting point right here, and at the end there is your end goal. Now, the only way you're going to actually get there is by making this step. But the beauty of a failure that a lot of people don't see, there's actually beauty in maybe not being able to achieve something immediately, is that there was trial. You actually made a step. And for you to try and make another step, maybe you were required to make a step back. The difference between you and the person who's still here is that fear has consumed them to the point where they can't move forward. But the person who says, I'm going to fail a number of times, I'll step and buckle over and fall. I'll step and buckle over and fall. They're farther away from the starting point and closer to the end goal than the person who has been consumed by fear. So that's just a food for thought for you, in line with breaking out of your shell. Now, the next speaker is Mr. Patrick Ayota. He's the Deputy Managing Director of Nssf, and today he'll be speaking on opportunities for the youth in the new Nssf Amendment Act. I know there's a lot of questions that come out about Nssf, and this also in itself serves as an opportunity to give you awareness and a little bit more insight on that. Patrick, over to you.
Thank you very much. I kind of want to get on, I want to kind of speak a little bit about what Matthias just mentioned. Two very key things. He said fear is actually good, because if you don't have fear, you are reckless. Even when you're a soldier and you have a gun and you're firing, you better be afraid, because then you take care. But you don't want fear to paralyze you and not make a decision. That's the two differences. Yeah. He mentioned something about purpose. Let me tell you something. He said he's not a technology person. He's not a techie. So many of you are there, maybe wondering, I need to go and learn code, whatever it is. No. He said he's not a techie, but in technology business. The thing that you need to discover is, what is your passion? There are enough problems in this world looking for solutions. And the reason why you are in this world, the reason why God placed you in this world, is to be part of the solution. So discover your passion and then use technology to deliver the solution to that passion. Many people are living, you think aimless, well, I don't know where I grew up and so on, but there's a reason why you're on this earth. And like I said, even in Uganda, in Kampala, we have enough problems looking for solutions. And once you discover that passion, it's then easy to apply the technology, bring a solution to that. Let me just give an example about passion. Many of you are soccer fans, maybe you are a Liverpool fan, maybe you've always loved soccer. And you always so thought, man, when I grow, I'm going to play for Liverpool. But time is ticking, you're not playing for Liverpool anymore. The will not be high, you're not good enough. So you can say, I will be a coach. For Liverpool, time is going, something is going there. And you can say, you know what, I'm going to join, many of you are in school now, maybe you're going to medicine, I'll do sports medicine and focus on soccer injuries. Or I'll be a ball boy. You are still in the same field, the same passion. The thing is, when you discover what you love to do, what you are passionate about, he said business is difficult. That's the only thing that will carry you to the end. You will not give up because you discovered that passion. So just turning around a bit to some of the things that I didn't want to. There is something very common. Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs. We know them as founders of techie companies. What we don't really sometimes realize is they founded these companies when they were your age. They were in school, they were in college, they were in university, some of them dropped out. They founded these companies at that age. Not that you are just at the right age, right environment, right brains to create something marvelous for this country. So I want to encourage you about that because it is really important. I work with Nssf. I'm also head of strategy. So part of my job is to kind of look at where is the world going to be, Uganda where is it to be 10 years from now, what do we need to do now to help Nssf get where it wants to get. And what we found out now in Nssf, we had some of the best brains, some of the best IT guys you can think about. And what they did for us is to deliver value. You don't start a techie, don't start software engineer, don't start coding without understanding that you're doing it for a purpose. There's a customer, there's a user you're trying to help, you're delivering value to them. So our IT department, the average age is 27. In our IT department, there are like 35 of them. But they've delivered value that we can't even explain how it works. Many of you are not at the age yet. Many of you know that 22 months ago, the government passed a law, said, okay, midterm access, people over 45 and have said contribute with the fund for 10 years can come for 20% of their money. Last year, we paid, the whole year, we paid 28,000 members. For 12 months, we paid 28,000 members, right around 450 billion shillings. So we estimated and thought that, okay, the only way we can serve, because we had a number about 40,000 people who qualified. If they all came on day one, there is no way we could serve them manually. So we deployed our IT team in 30 days to come up with a solution. How do we make it easy, convenient for you if you're 45 and to get your money? How do you do it from your household? How do you do it from your house, from your office, without anything at all? And they delivered. As of yesterday, we had paid 19,000 members, around 370 billion shillings. That just tells the power of technology and how you can leverage your technology to deliver value. So remember, whatever you're doing has to deliver value. And the cheaper solution, faster solution, superior solution. That's what you want to do. And you can be the user of technology. Even if you're a border rider, take a look at that border. Say, how can I make this border go faster? Consume less fuel. So you're not just another border guy riding around, but you're thinking through what you can do to deliver value for that. And as we do those things, it's amazing. And as for one thing that's really amazing, many of you sometimes give up on Uganda. I tell you something. It's our company. As Ugandans. We own it as Ugandans. All the savers are Ugandans. All the managers are Ugandans. The other day you had the MD here. All Ugandans. We've grown that company now 70 billion shillings, which is right around 12% of Uganda's GDP. Managed by Ugandans. We are not stealing. So don't say every Ugandan is a thief. No, we are not. So please, don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on this country. Because there's so much potential you have. And there's a problem there waiting for you as a solution.
All right, thank you so much. Do not give up on your country. Also from Nssf today is the head of marketing and communications, Miss Barbara Arini. She's joining us today to give us a little bit of a twist on the conversations we're having today. Being an entrepreneur can open up so many doors for you, but you can also find a way to build a brand online and using tech. And today, Barbara is here to share on just that, building a personal brand and building a business brand through tech. Barbara, the floor is yours.
Okay, so this is like a sandwich. Well, how many of you believe that you are a brand? Okay. Timothy Code.
Yeah, I have to raise my hand. I believe I'm a brand, yeah.
Yes, and you know he goes by the name Timothy Code, and I was asking, was he baptized Code? Were you baptized Code?
No, I was not.
Oh,
Code is
like,
a brand name, actually. It is a brand name.
Okay, so because of what he does, he decided to make himself funky and say he's Timothy Code. Otherwise, you can't be doing your job and you're like, I'm Barbara, but if you say it, maybe I'm Bobby, you know, people feel like you're connecting, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so everyone is a brand, yeah? And even everything that we provide, services, products, are brands as well. So, simple definition of a brand: name, term, symbol that will identify your good, your service, or even yourself. That's a brand. So, I'm here to talk about branding because oftentimes people don't realize that they are brands, and when they set out to do a business, they actually don't realize why their business is not appealing to the people they are targeting, you see, because of how they've positioned their brand. So I'm going to share briefly about brand. It's what I do for a living, like I told you at the onset. But this microphone has an echo.
All right. Do you want to use? You can use.
Yeah. Can we turn this off and?
Let's turn off her lapel. Let's get this one straight here.
Okay. This sounds better. Does this sound better? It's worse. Hello. This is better. Yeah.
All right.
So, brand management. How do you manage your brand? Remember, a brand is in the mind of the target group. You realize when you're at home, if someone asks you, who is a friend you can go to soccer with? You'll say, oh, I can go with, maybe I can go with Michael. Why? Because you know the way he talks, he's always talking about maybe Man U. You support Man U or Arsenal? So if someone says, okay, who can lend me money? You're like, let me go to Timothy. Yeah, because Timothy maybe has a money lending business he has told you about. This is hypothetical. But those examples, or if you say, okay, who can tell me about business across Africa? You might quickly think about Matthias. And, okay, Patrick is my boss, but he loves dancing. So if you ask who can dance Lingala here, that's, you might say Patrick, and he will actually deliver. But this is because at every interaction with a person, you are forming a perception. So the brand is in the mind of your audience. Whether it's at home, whether it's at school, whether it's here, it's basically in the mind. So you just have to be aware that each single time you're creating a perception about yourself to everyone who is in your presence. So let's look at those three people. Can you see the screen? So who is the gentleman in the middle? Pardon? Dangote, yes. What does he do? Let's have one person. You know, we are all, I can see confident faces. Yes, let's just have one person. Yes. Okay, we'll have, you can tell us about him. Okay. What's his net worth? Is he poor? Is he rich? Yes, please. Okay, he's loaded. Does he look like a rich guy in that photo?
Yeah.
Does he look money?
That's what money looks like.
Supposing we took the other one, the other gentleman, who is that one? Davido. Could we say that if you saw Davido, would you say he's the richest guy in Africa? What would you think? What would you pass him as? Pardon?
Border rider.
Patrick says a border rider.
Hey.
But he has a swag.
30 billion on my account.
What would you pass him as? Art, fashion, yeah? So he's aligned to what he does. He's a great musician, yeah? Although he's also an engineer. And then what about the lady? Pardon? Azawi. What does she do? Does she live up to what she does in that photo? If Dangote came to perform the way he was, would you connect with him? You'd switch him off. You'd be like, what is this guy going to sing? He's possibly going to sing a hymn, eh? So branding, personal branding is about your look and feel, yeah? Your look and your feel, your communication and your behavior. That is what personal branding is all about. And so I thought those 3 examples would actually speak to that. So the first thing as a person who is building your personal brand is, first of all, to ask yourself, what are my values? Yeah? So what do you go by? What defines your value system? So one of my nieces was telling me a story and saying, actually, one of her friends said she's basically studying, she wants to study accounting so that she can learn how to steal. And these are the kids, like teens. Now you can already see that's a component of a value system. So what's going to happen when she gets a job finally? She's going to steal. And it's not going to be a surprise because it is in her DNA. So as a person, you need to get some values in place. And try and get like just 3 values because your values will define what your brand is. So I personally have 3 values: godliness, excellence. Godliness because I want to do things that are founded on godly things. Like, so I don't want to be caught stealing, or I don't want to be caught in crazy places, you know, doing crazy things. But that is, so that is one of the values I go by. And then excellence, because I want to be excellent in everything that I do in my life. If it's my job, I should give it my best. If it's something I'm doing with my family members, it should be done in an excellent manner. And then relationships. I value relationships with my workmates, with my family members, with relationships with the people I connect with. Because at the end of the day, everyone is God's creation, and so how you treat them matters. So relationship is very important. So as a person, I encourage you, just pick 3 values that you can go by in your life. And that is all still part of brand building. And then ask yourself, what do I want to become? Now, if you look at that photo, very beautiful lady, she's called Pauline Geroge. Now, she doesn't really have a good story, and that's why I put the story there. Not so bad, but she was appointed to the board of Kenya Tourism Regulatory Authority. But within a week, she was fired. Why? Because she didn't think that she would maybe at one time want to be a board member. So she criticized Nairobi National Park and said it meant nothing. All of you know Nairobi National Park is Nairobi is really one of those cities in the world with a national park just a short distance in the city really. So she criticized the national park in 2019. In 2020 she was appointed, but remember she was leaving a digital trail because that was on Twitter. What you post you can't delete. Even if you delete, sometimes people have already shared, liked, and so the thread is still there. So the people, the community on social media began to say, no, how do you actually appoint such a person who is criticizing tourism in this country? How is she going to actually make sure that she takes us where we want to go? And because of that, the board chair fired her. He revoked the appointment and apologized and said, thank you so much to the Twitter people. I didn't know that actually this lady criticizes tourism in our country. So you need to ask yourself, what do you want to become today? I always see, and I really feel so bad, I see so many young ladies posting very interesting photos, interesting in the wrong way on social media, and asking very interesting questions. Would you chuck me if I was your babe? Or would you take me for the other one? Would you? And you know, this is not the only thing you have to do in life. And also guys have ways of posting their photos, but is that where you're ending in life? Remember that you're going somewhere, yeah? So as you use social media, you're building your brand. You're leaving a digital footprint. So you need to ask yourself, what do I want to become 5, 10 years from now? And start doing that now. How you dress, how you portray yourself, how you speak. Because a brand is just about perception. How are people perceiving you? And so if you come out, I remember when I just started working, I used to dress in suits and people would ask me, some people even began to tell me, why are you behaving like a manager? Because I was carrying myself. And indeed, 2 years down the road, I was a manager, you know. But I was carrying myself like a responsible person, you know, like I understand these things, looking the part, doing my best, working hard. And so I was forming a perception in the minds of the people I was interacting with. So quick tips on branding. One, how you dress matters. If you want to be a musician, be passionate about it and align it to your value system and dress like one, yeah? If you want to be a lawyer, be passionate about it, align yourself to it. If you want to be a tech guy, be passionate about it, align yourself to it. You know, there's also room for dreads, I mean, dreadlocks, afro, there's room. You can feel yourself like, yeah, I'm doing my thing, this is me,
Yes.
exhibiting my creativity, you see. So it's just about where you want to go. So how you dress, how you behave, how you speak on and offline. And there's also a component of just ask your friends and get some feedback around you and ask your family members, close friends, do you feel me?
Yeah,
you know?
Does what I wear
do you see
portray?
me? So that they can tell you, they can give you feedback if you are actually living up to your brand. Now, that's personal branding. So I know most of you really, I talked to a couple of you the other day and I was very impressed. Again, some people were telling me, okay, this is what I do. Yeah, this is my business. I've started an online company and this is what I'm doing. Another guy told me he's into property management. So that is corporate branding. So again, corporate branding is almost very similar with personal branding. So the first thing is you have to decide who is your target group, define your brand, and then you manage your touch points. The touch points are the same, how you look and feel, how you behave, and how you communicate. And of course, at a corporate level, we also measure and evaluate. Now, you can see 3 logos there. Who does Luombo speak to? High, middle, low income end. Luombo, if you hear somewhere Luombo, this is a Luombo joint. Yes? Pardon? Downtown, eh? Like somewhere, you know there's a place there in Nakasero, eh? There are so many people cooking with big pans, eh? Like you really get the food, Luombo, and in big quantities, eh? And what is the price like?
Affordable.
10, 8,000.
Yes, how is the pricing? How much? 3K. It speaks to the pocket. Do you expect to find AC there? Or do you expect like a table or a tray? They give you the tray when they're serving your food.
Natural AC.
And
Natural
then
AC.
you sit and you're next to this person, right? Okay. So what about cafe javas? There's no right or wrong answer. This is an interaction. High class? Like how much is food there? Okay, high class student, eh? 35, 30, Patrick said 30.
There's a lady that said 38 there. I think
38,
she
must have
the
paid.
meal. She remembered the meal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's, what about Serena? Patrick said high-end. Do you agree?
In Serena, the currency changes.
The currency changes.
You pay in dollars.
Are you going to reach there? Like if you go to the Luombo joint, are you going to begin saying, or if you go to Serena, when they bring your bill, are you going to say, no, I have 10K?
Just bring the water.
You can
That's
drink
enough.
water.
Yeah.
You just, when you have your 10K, you just say, no, I just need some water while you're using the Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Just water.
Okay, so, well, that's an example of why it's important to define your target group. If you're starting a business, you need to define who it is you're serving, because you want your company to align yourself to the person you're serving. Equity Bank, for example, started out to serve the mass market, especially the peasants. So that's why they adopted Brown. Even their branches are not prohibitive, because they want you to feel at home when you walk in. They don't want you to feel scared of walking in. You know, like there are times where you get to a place. I was in Centenary Bank when we were working on Mapera House. I was a brand manager. And people first feared to come. They're like, is this for all of us? Like, yeah, this is open to all Centenary Bank customers. So somehow the target group shifted. And now you see Centenary Bank is also serving high-end because of that look and feel Mapera House. So first of all, define who you want to serve. Is it high-end? Is it low-end? Is it the women? Is it the children? But do some segmentation. And then after that, what is your logo? Come up with a logo that is easy to use. You know, I don't know, the last time I checked my logo for my school, I remember my shirt. By the way, I was in Toro Girls High School. So it had the real TGS and then their pictures and like a badge. So when you think of that logo application online, like you're opening a social media page for it, is it easy to apply? If it's a signage, is it easy to apply this logo? Whatever it is it easy? You see, like, for example, the cars, if Mercedes-Benz had a logo like that for my school, you know, would it look good on the car? I think it would look really very crowded. So think about your logo. What is the name of your company? The statement, your purpose. For example, at the fund, our purpose is to make lives better. So when you see our logo, we add there a better life, yeah? Because it's aligning to what we want to do. Also, we talked about managing your touch points. How do you do it as a corporate? How do you manage your touch points? So most organizations have, of course, outlets. They have social media pages. They have websites. So that is your look and feel. So just ask yourself, at what point is someone going to interact with my brand? And then you make sure that you have a consistent look across all those platforms. And then also there's a component of communication. You notice that when we are communicating, we communicate in a certain way because our brand archetype is a leader. We are a leading brand. So we don't communicate like, Bambi, register for Nssf, what? We promise you a better life when we are speaking to you and you feel like this is the right partner for me and they know where I'm going. You see, eh? So your communication defines your brand. Other brands are into entertainment. And for example, if you talk to the breweries, they'll tell you we are in entertainment. But they're actually, it's alcohol, but there's a component of entertainment. Yeah. So you'll see that brands, if you see the Mountain Dew adverts full of energy, you know, people are doing all kinds of things, and it's because they want to exhibit that. When they're communicating, it's a youthful audience they're talking to, and they want you to feel like you connect with the brand. That is why when you talk to the younger people, they'll tell you, I want Mountain Dew, you know. They are not asking for maybe the bull, the energy drink, and what they say do, because they have seen they connect with the communication of the brand. And so even the staff have to depict that. So Nssf, we have a standard look and feel. And because, like I told you, one, we lead in our segment. Two, we are the biggest financial institution in Uganda, and we are also one of the biggest schemes in East Africa. So we want you, when you walk in, to feel like you have a partner who can help you improve on your life. And we not only show that with the branches, but we also give you a good return. So it's consistent with what we are doing. And then in terms of communication, of course, we align. Our communication is standard. If we do something externally, we also roll it out internally, because the staff members are our brand ambassadors. So they're the first selling point. If a staff member knows something, they'll be able to sell it out there. And you'll find that the same people who are online are also managing the platforms, and it's consistent. If you see a message in the newspaper, it's going to be consistent with what you find in the branch. It will be consistent with what you find online. And the MD will also, or the DMD, will be saying the same thing to the public. So there's that consistency. And I think that is one thing that is very important. As you build your brand, you have to be consistent in how you communicate. And then, of course, culture. If you see those pictures, you'll see people posing with awards, right? That is a consistent thing. So internally, we really believe in performance, high performance. So, and that is depicted across several functions, because everyone knows I have to deliver, I have to perform, I have to do my best. So that is really why at the end of the day, we again measure that. You ask, what is the customer satisfaction? What is the brand satisfaction? What is the brand perception? What is the brand health, you know? So we measure all those things. So really, branding, okay, I think I'm off. Branding is in your mind. And that is one key thing I wanted to share. It's all in the mind. It can be in the mind of the consumer. It can be in the mind of your friends. So whatever thing you need to do is to ask yourself, how am I portraying myself across those three touch points? Yeah? How you look, how you feel, how you communicate, and how you behave. Those are the three key things. And as you get onto this journey of building your social media pages, just think and say, okay, fine. If I have Facebook, how do I want to look on Facebook? How do I want to look on Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok? Align all that. If you're creating your site, let it be aligned to all these things. And of course, you'll find that even sometimes we definitely change the tone of communication and communicate with your target, because you'll find, for example, print media is being consumed by the older segments, maybe 30 to and above. But you'll find that on social media, you find mainly people maybe 24 to 35, the people who are engaging with businesses. So you'll realize that as you communicate, you have to also maintain your value system, but break down your communication. So that's what I had to talk about.
All right, thank you so much, Barbara, Remy. A round of applause for the entire panel. Very, very insightful thoughts and sharings today. Now we're going to take some questions from our online audience first, and then we'll take some from the immediate audience right here, and also give us your questions, your queries, your thoughts, your responses, your comments, all on the different topics. I'd like to just share very, very briefly some of the responses that came in online. Now this one came in from Mutegeki Rogers, and it goes to Mr. Michael Nietegeka. He says, most of us are very passionate on technology and using it to solve our community problems, but we always scared of taking the first step, which is just starting. Every time you get an idea, your mind will always tell you that you cannot make, you won't make it or people won't like it. How would you advise someone with that challenge? How can I change my mindset on my ideas? And then I think I'm going to give it to Michael and Matthias as well to speak on that. Then I got a response here from Arnold Semogerere for Mr. Patrick. He says, thank you, Mr. Patrick. How does one go about developing knowledge on business strategy and skill set required to lead highly efficient teams? And I know you spoke about the multiple teams that are being handled under Nssf and the payments that actually come out. How is it, it being in your role of your role of the deputy managing director? How do you get the skill set required to lead a highly efficient team? And it's not just a case of we gave you a laptop so you know how to use it, but leading a highly efficient team. And also the second thing he asked is developing knowledge on business strategy. All right. And then the last question I'm going to ask Barbara in terms of brand building. How does one protect the brand? You know, we've talked about how to build it up until, you know, getting yourself to a point where you're commercially viable, where people respect you, where your brand commands a certain type of conversation in society. But when you get to that level, let's say like Barbara, you are the head of marketing. How do you protect? On the topic of developing knowledge on business strategy and skill set required to lead a highly efficient team, how would you go about it?
A very, very broad way of looking at it. But think of this. If you're starting a business, I think both Barbara and Matthias talked about, and then Michael talked about that thing called passion. The passion is what's that you want to deliver, that you can deliver. So the first thing to do, actually, Barbara mentioned it, who is your customer? Always start with that. Whatever you want to do, who are you producing it for? Now, you can, as I segment it, so strategy starts with exactly that. Who is your customer? Number two, what do you want to deliver to them? But under that, there are sub-questions. Why would they want your product? Why would they buy your product? What is so special about it? Is it cheaper than anything else? Is it that it's more convenient for them to get it from you? Or is it that it offers such a superior value that nobody else is doing? You better ask yourself that thing. Why would that customer buy from you? So then you begin to develop that service or product around that value you're proposing. The third one, which most people know sometimes, can they afford it? Because you have to understand your customer enough to know, okay, I'm Luwombo joined. I'm not going to charge 20,000 because 20,000 shillings, because nobody will come and eat a 20,000 shilling Luwombo downtown. But they'll charge 8,000. So do you understand your customers enough? So those things go into the strategy, which then leads to the other question that, how do I get the skill set? How do I get people? How do I get the skill set to deliver what I want to deliver? Because at the end of the day, you are delivering to the people. The MD talked about something here on Monday, talked about our program, which is called High Innovator. The High Innovator program is supposed to help startups. If you have a business 2 years old, you want to come go through our program. There's a little startup money that will put in your business. What we found out over and over and over again is most Ugandans want to own 100% of their business. They want to own 100% of that business. If you own 100% of their business, it will grow as big as you are. The only way your business will grow are two things: other people's efforts or other people's money. That's it. Business is about that. So for you to deliver your product, if you look at Steve Jobs had a partner called Wozniak. Bill Gates had a partner called Alan. Mark Zuckerberg had 4 partners. One of them was called Moscovite, I think so. They didn't do it by themselves. What I tell guys, you have an idea, you want, join somebody else. The two of them, but the two of you become a mighty force, and then you can begin to work through that. Don't be scared that, no, they will steal my idea. Yes, they may. Don't, but bring them in. Let there at least be two of you. It's better to own 50% of $1 billion shillings than 100% of $1 million shillings. Just remember that. Then finally, how you develop the skill set to do these things, guys, is you better measure what you're doing. You wake up in the morning, don't be aimless. Today, I expect to do this because for this purpose. At the end of the day, assess, did I do that? Did I get the results? If you didn't get the results, why not? So you can correct and continue. As you continuously measure and evaluate, at a personal level, corporate level, you'll deliver something that's amazing. At Nssf, we measure everything. Whether you're a lawyer, we'll measure you. Whether you're not, it will measure you. And some people say, no, you can't measure them. No, we measure everything. So don't be aimless. If you say, this morning, I'm going to go to class at 8 a.m., there's a homework I need to deliver, it had better be done by this time. At the end of the day, you measure it. And that's how then you develop those sets that help you do that. So that's basically what is, I think to me, is that simple.
Best way to build, best way to build a business strategy. Thank you so much, Patrick. Now, we had a response from Rogers, and he was asking about those who are passionate about technology, but they have that fear of starting. I wanted to tap into the story that you told us, Michael, at the beginning, and then also, Matthias, I want you to share a bit more on how one can be advised on such a challenge when you're kicking the door down and you're saying, this door will not keep me locked in a box of fear. How do I break out of that shell? I'll start with Michael, and then we can go to Matthias.
Thank you, Timothy. One of the things that got me and a few others to start Refactory was the realization that quite a number of people were in this business of trying to teach themselves. But there was only so much that they could go. In terms of, there was only so far that they could go. And that was informed by, so before I went to Refactory, started Refactory, I spent about 12 years in Makerere. And so I'd understood what learning is and what education is and what the gaps were. And I realized that we were spending quite a lot of time giving people stuff that the industry doesn't want or that will never get to use. And so I set out to answer the question, is it possible to design a program that can get someone from 0 to 40% in the shortest possible time? And specifically around software engineering. Because I'd seen quite a number of people who were attempting to do coding through online platforms, Udacity, Udemy, name it. But they would only go so far. And it goes back to how we have been trained to learn. We've been trained to learn when someone is leading the learning process. And so, because I was also seeing quite a number of people, our education system only allows you to do software engineering if you've done math, economics, so the sciences principally. But my understanding of software engineering was that if you have a brain, you can do software engineering. Because it's logic. If it doesn't work, it will return a bug. It will show you things are not working. You have to go back and fix it. It's as simple as that. So there's no algorithm, there's nothing. All you need is akili. Can you think? But that's education. There's nothing much I could do. I attempted and I said, this can't work. Why are we closing out people? But I realized I was fighting a big institution that I couldn't. Now let me go back to what Rogers was asking. Rogers, if you're in that space where you're not sure, but you have a passion, and I guess it's because of where you have been. I would invite you to come and join Refactory. And not because I am leading Refactory, it's because I have seen people come in our space with that fear. And at the end of the 9 months experience, they leave when they have, one, the skill set, two, the mindset, three, the tools. I'll repeat. At the end of the 9 months experience, you have the skill set to become a software engineer, you have the tools to make you a better engineer, and number three, you have the mindset. Now, let me also say this, that software engineering, and Matthias will speak to this. Matthias and I are only enablers. I've never studied IT, but spent about 8 years in the IT faculty in Makerere, and 2013 to date, I am still practicing. Why? Because the IT industry is not just about coding. There are so many other functions that are required. The unfortunate bit is that when you look at the way we teach in a linear way. Every software development team must have a document specialist, somebody who understands documentation. Why? Because good software must have documentation. Every software team must have somebody who understands business. Why? Because you're building solutions for the business of whichever entity you're building. There must be somebody who has the competence to engage. Every software team must have a project manager, somebody who's going to keep the team on track. And every software team must have what we call a back end and a front end engineer. Why? Because those functions require different skill sets. When I meet somebody who has studied software engineering or computer science, the only thing they think about is code. No. So the starting point is expose yourself.
Okay.
And that exposure is probably don't start a degree program because it's a long haul. Start in a place like Refactory. And if it piques interest, if you pick interest, I have a friend of mine, she joined the program. Yeah, I don't know why it's about radio people. But she joined the program and she was very clear that her passion is project management. At the end of 3 months, she tells me now, she's actually very passionate about front-end engineering because she's passionate about design. So what I can share with you, Rogers, is that there are very many opportunities even just in software engineering as a function. There are so many opportunities. The unfortunate bit is that education has made us to believe that it is only one way. You must write code. And that is not the case. I have met historians who are working for big companies, who are software engineers. I have met people who haven't gone to university. No, I've not just met, I have trained. I have a young man who is now hired at Stanbic Bank who didn't go to university but was taken on as a graduate engineer. Graduate, but has no degree. So what am I trying to say? If this is a space you're interested in, dig in. And then finally, I'll speak to out of software engineering. People, how many of us are in finance? Have a finance background? Okay? How many of us are in marketing? How many of us are in communication? Okay. And the rest of you guys? You're just around.
The rest we're on vibes. Eh?
So let me say this. And apologies, I'm dragging a little bit, but let me speak to this. If you're a finance person, go master Excel spreadsheet. Why? Because every business that begins a digital journey is going to begin from spreadsheets. And don't just learn spreadsheet. Learn spreadsheets from the function called finance. Why? There are people out there, and Matthias will tell you, there are companies out there that are looking for a very basic financial management system that don't have the resources to buy an enterprise system. Excel is a starting point. And I will say, look out for training programs that are run by an organization called ICDL. ICDL Africa. Google them. And they have a specific module called Spreadsheets for Financial Management. The guys in marketing, I'll tell you two things. One, understand digital marketing, but I'll also tell you, learn basic coding. Why? Because Barbara's role now, especially if you're coming in at entry level, Barbara is at strategy, so she won't be doing the mechanics stuff. But if Barbara hires you, the first thing she expects you to do is to manage the digital channels. It's a minimum. You can't say I did mass comm so I don't understand the things. It's a minimum. So you need to understand how, at the very basic level, edit a website. Know how to plug in a few things. And so you're going to learn basic HTML. When I say HTML, we're like, There are people, when they see a symbol, they're like, no, me and math, we don't talk. This has nothing to do with math. I was speaking the other day to students in Makere, mass comm students, and I told them, guys, invest in understanding how digital platforms work. And that understanding requires you to have a certain level of competence. You won't be the software developer, but you should be able to do basic stuff. Right. The final one, the guys who are just around, I'll tell you this, enhance your digital competences. And digital competences from using Microsoft Word, PowerPoint presentations. There are people who are hired by companies just to work on their PowerPoints. Now you may say, PowerPoint? Yeah. There are many CEOs, MDs, members of parliament who cannot make a presentation that will make you stand up. But that means a level of competence. I'll probably come around with another set of guidance.
I know. Yes. That's very, very extensive. I like that you shared how an opportunity in tech might not necessarily be on the tech or hands-on on the tech. You mentioned users and developers, but then I was thinking, whenever you were speaking about that, I was thinking about Facebook, you know? Facebook by definition, or Meta by definition, is a tech conglomerate, right? But then you have someone who's in marketing, who would be the equivalent of a Barbara right now, who needs to get into the marketing and communications for Meta. You have someone, maybe let's say like Patrick, who will help you with the business development side of things, business strategy. So all those are aspects, all those are opportunities for what you would consider a tech company, but your value, now so that's something that Patrick and Matthias were speaking on, the value that you provide in those companies is what is needed. So you have so many opportunities, not only on the user and developer side, but what surrounds the ecosystem of what you're working on. Matthias, I just wanted to very briefly get your take on this as well.
I'll be very brief, and I'll begin from where the discussion that Michael made. And I'll pick one thing, which is very critical for you not to fear, because I want to address fear. Michael gave a whole background of why he started what he started. And that is purpose. If you don't have a purpose, you will definitely fear to start. But you also mentioned that the only sure way of failing 100% is failing to start. If you don't start, you have failed 100%. If you start, perhaps you achieve 40% and fail 60%. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hey, that was so brief and very to the point. Yes, Barbara's going to talk about branding, but before we get to Barbara, just in line with what Mr. Patrick Ayoto was saying, You need to start your journey with Nssf, your journey towards financial freedom. So you need to sign up as well for the Nssf Financial Literacy Program for those business strategy development and basically how you can manage your money better. This actually goes out to Mr. Semogere Arnold and anyone else who has a similar concern. Nssf has a financial literacy program that you can sign up on, and it is www.nssfug.org/financial literacy. The website is www.nssfug.org/financial literacy. So in the, yes, please expand on it.
I think also if you want to start a business, we actually have same website, www.nssfug.org/Innovator. Innovator has got 8 modules that touches and helps you as you're building your business. And all these things are for free. Do it in the comfort of your home so that you can actually get the information you need.
All right, thank you so much. A free business academy, guys, from Nssf that you can access on your phone. The website, Innovator Business Academy.nssfug.org. You can set up a free account and get all this free business advice, okay? Now over to Barbara. We're talking about brands and how we can protect our brands in the digital space. When you're online, someone sees Barbara tweeted about something, then a troll comes and tries to engage you negatively on social media. Or like you were mentioning, how certain brands might post things about themselves that might be detrimental to their brands. How does one go about protecting their brand in a way that they stay commercially viable? But then, like you said, it's about perception. That when I see the name Barbara Arimi, I trust that name. When I see the name Timothy Code, I trust that name. You know, how does one go about protecting their brand on the online space?
Okay, that's a very good question. I think you recall when I started out, I said values. Yeah, values. So your values are going to determine your interaction online. Now, how do you protect yourself? Oftentimes, for example, the fund. People might want, like before they passed the amendments, people wanted midterm access. But we didn't have a regulation to support that. So all we did was just be consistent with the communication and very courteous. We just say, we are sorry, but we are not in position to provide this benefit at the moment. So we're consistent because we couldn't tell a lie and say, come, we would break the rules. We couldn't stop saying we cannot pay if you asked. And of course, then people will make a lot of noise. You don't have to engage. You know, sometimes when you start quarreling with people online, it just shows the kind of person you are. So as a brand, you have to have certain moral standards in place. And that's why we are saying values. So, and then of course, there's another aspect of protection.
Yes.
I was following one of the ladies. She does exercises online and she's a trainer for some of the Hollywood people. But then she wanted to close her YouTube account because someone had taken her name and patented it. So it was a suit. So when you realize you're in business and if you see that you're a brand, you need to actually register your trademarks. And the person who had patented it was actually now beginning to retail items with her name in the stores, you know, for their own benefit. So you need to have a patent. Register your trade name so that it's recognized. And that's how also you protect. The third aspect is content, really. Who you support, who you partner with online. For example, there are many things that come on my feed. Sometimes when people request, friend requests, you know, Facebook, Twitter, so much will appear on your feed. But if the content does not portray me and my values, I just block the person or report it. And I say, I'm not happy with this content. Because I just don't need to because I'm trying to manage my personal brand, and
Yes.
there's certain kind of content that I don't want to relate with. So that is really as serious as it gets if you want to protect your image online. Who you partner with, who you get to endorse you, basically the people who support your brand. Let's say you're pushing something and then you want to associate with certain people, you first have to understand who is this person, what have they been posting, do they have a good personality, before you ask them to actually endorse your brand online. You just don't get anyone to endorse you, because when they endorse you, they come in with their baggage, you see. So people will begin and say, oh, all along Nssf actually believes in this kind of thing, you see. So it doesn't portray you right on social media. So you need to choose the influencers that you want to engage with, the partnerships that you want to have, everything that you think through, you need to have thought through it.
All
Thank
right.
you.
I actually share with you this same opinion. A client recently came to me, I think a few days ago, towards the radio, and they came and said, hey, you know, we know you speak to a lot of people on a daily basis. Could you please endorse this particular product? And at the time I said, I can't do it. Not because I didn't want to endorse it, because I'd love to work with very many brands. I'd love to work with all these brands present here. But, sorry about that. The reason why I said no is that the client was requesting me to make a certain endorsement that to my audience, and that's also something that deals with brand, a niche audience, it might sound offensive, it might sound disrespectful, it might sound tone deaf. Now, in the eyes of the client, they're getting their marketing. They've said, you're pushing my product, makes sense for me. But in the eyes of me, the vessel, the person who is trying to address their product to my audience, I look like I don't understand or I don't respect my audience. So that's why I said no. And you can actually do that as well. Pick and choose your niche crowd and address your niche crowd. You don't have to talk to everyone. And the same example that Barbara was sharing with the different Kampala Serena and Cafe Javas and Luombo downtown. If you're downtown guys, address that crowd. If you are CJs, if you are middle class, or if you believe that you're this crowd, address it. If you feel you're high end and you can't address a particular crowd, because people will see that, address that, okay? Now, sorry about that. Now we're going to get into a short break, but I need to tell you about the quiz. I know we have some burning questions on the floor, so we're going to be taking those right after the quiz. We have a lot of giveaways that we have to do today. It is the final day of the Nssf Career Expo. So if you have any questions for any of the panel members, especially for our main floor, our physical audience today, just take note of it, and then we will be sharing with our speakers right after the quiz. But for today, we have two big prizes we want to give away. We have a laptop up for grabs. We have a Bluetooth speaker up for grabs. Loads of airtime, loads of data. And of course, from our different partners, ABSA and maybe Motive and Innovation Village, we have a couple of goodies that we'd love to share with you today. So, let me just give you the instructions for the quiz. DJ Alicia is going to get ready to give us a short musical interlude. I hope your internet is ready. Remember what we said yesterday? Your internet could either be your best friend or your worst enemy in this interactive quiz. It's all about time, it's all about speed. So, this is the website for day three of the quiz. It's www, and this is also for our online audience as well. If you're live streaming, please note this down, because when the quiz begins, right after our interlude, we're going straight in, okay? The website is www.quiziz.com. Quiziz is spelled Q-U-I-Z-I-Z-Z. So quiziz.com. I'll spell it again. Q-U-I-Z-I-Z-Z.com. You can open this on a phone or a laptop, as long as you have an internet connection. And then the code is 206294. I'll read it again. The code is 206294. You're going to enter your full name and your year of study, and then get ready to participate. We'll only begin the quiz after the short interlude. If you have any questions for the speakers, please get ready to ask. DJ Alicia, let's just warm them up a little bit and get into that Friday mood. This is the Nssf Career Expo. We'll be back with the interactive quiz and the Q&A session in just a bit. Stick around. My distinguished speakers, just to take your seats, and everyone on the floor as well, please take your seats. We're about to kickstart the quiz. All right? Now, the questions are very simple. These are very, very simple questions. They're based on some of the things that the speakers have shared with us today, and also based on the Expo in general. All you have to do on that website is answer the questions the fastest. If you want that brand new laptop, if you want that JBL Bluetooth speaker, if you want some airtime and data, you need to be the fastest person to answer. I'm going to give a chance to, sir, we are waiting for you. Yeah, it's okay, we're waiting for you. You might win the laptop, you never know, if your internet is fast enough. If we have everyone on the floor, everyone at home as well, tuned in and live streaming with us, I hope you're ready. I hope you've refreshed your data. Maybe a brand new bundle. I hope you're ready. And even our speakers on stage, you can pull out your phones and participate. We want to test your knowledge, of course. No, you're not allowed to win. People might have the internet from Mark Zuckerberg or something. No. But we just out of the spirit of a fun quiz, I think it's only right that we can also participate in it. All right. So everyone at home, welcome to the second session of the Nssf Career Expo Day 3. My name is Timothy Code, and I'm joined by these distinguished speakers on the stage. And it's time for us to get into our interactive quiz today. Now, I hope you have the website already. Let's start immediately. Phones out, laptops out. Are we ready? The code is 206294. That is the code. Everyone on the floor, are we ready? If you're ready, if you're on the floor, say yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I like that. All right, everyone at home, I hope you also said it. I can imagine you said it. I'll just pretend. So I'll start from the beginning because I want everyone to participate just like everyone else. Before we kickstart, this is what it would look like if you opened on your phone in your browser. It's quizzes, and you just need to log in with the code. There's a section above where you enter the code. All right? And the code is 206294. Right? Okay. And you join the game. It's quizzes. Yes. You join the game, then you enter your name. You have to enter your full name and your year of study, because that way we'll be able to differentiate you. There might be 30 Helens here, 2 Joes, 3 Sharons, so we have to be able to differentiate you. We see a couple of players already there. 187, 188 players joining, 189 joined, 190 joined. All right. I'm going to need the DJ to give us some background music as we get into this interactive quiz session. Very, very light music, all right? People need to think. It's not time to dance. People need to think. But we're kickstarting the interactive session in 5 seconds. Everyone at home, 5 seconds. I hope you're ready. Everyone on the floor, ready. Everyone on the stage, ready. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, begin. The key is to be the fastest person to finish. But you have to finish with everything correct. No cheating. Thank you. We have 5 questions, and it's all about who answers fastest. A brand new laptop up for grabs. JBL Bluetooth speaker up for grabs. Yes. I see someone in the back looking at his friend's phone. I don't know how that's going to help, but okay. Inspiration. Internet. I think he tethered. All right. Few more questions to go. For everyone at home, I hope you're also answering very, very keenly. Almost there. Hey, someone is sweating. All right. And that brings us to the end of the interactive quiz. Now we're going to tally all the correct answers and the fastest responses, and we will announce the winners of the interactive quiz, both online and the ones who have actually won here as well. So fingers crossed. But right now I want to get back into the Q&A session. We have a few questions on the floor right now, and would love for our physical audience to just raise your hand and pose a question. We have a gentleman in the back. Okay, let's start with the gentleman, the lady, and then we'll start going around. Just make sure you, stand up, raise your question, tell us your name, where you're from, and who of the speakers you are, asking a question.
Well, thank you so much. My name is Cyrus Sumika. I'm an entrepreneur and a software developer. I am from MOBS. I have questions for all the panelists, but they will be into 2 categories. The first one goes to Michael and Matthias. I request you to kindly comment on this. You as the ICT scholars now will look up to you, because at least now you have seen it all. Your voices can be heard in the Ministry of ICT. And I want to ask you, how can you influence our curriculum in this education sector, because we are living in a global village whereby we are competing globally. But I'll be honest with you, by the time people reach the university, some of them, they didn't come with the passion of being software engineers or developers. When you look way back, when they were still in high school, most of them will tell you, I wanted to be a doctor, a lawyer, a civil engineer. And the education down there kept on cutting them off until when they reached an extent and are like, I think we can do IT. Then some are doing IT because it is trending. Now, Michael and Matthias, you as the people who look up to, how can you influence and how can you take their voices to the government on how we can see that things like refactory go down to secondary schools. Maybe over the weekend, people can join refactory and they change their mindset. And then this thing, how do we change this kind of teaching whereby they always tell us, you're going to get a job, you will be hired. If I ever enter in a lecture or if I ever come to refactory and they tell me that we are training you to be hired, I'll get out. Because I don't like that. How do we see that whoever teaches tells the young people that you're going to be the next Bill Gates, you're going to be the next Mark Zuckerberg, you're going to build a powerful solution that's going to change millions of lives.
Okay.
How do we see that remove that thing for that training everybody to get employed and yet jobs are not there?
Okay.
Then the other one goes to Barbara and Patrick. I'll be honest with you, there are a couple of young people seated in here that are having startups and they're doing something. Even me, as I can show you, I'm having one. You can see my shirt.
Okay.
I'm running this one with friends that are seated in here. We are highly using the internet to see that we market our startups. And you see this internet here, especially social media, it puts you in a position whereby everybody sees you in a perception as someone who is very big. I have gotten a number of people who tell me that when they see this on the internet, they say that you guys have a lot of money, but definitely you don't have money. Now this is a challenge as we are trying to take up space to look for more better marketing platforms, maybe on televisions, radios, and other platforms using other influencers. The image they look on our profiles of our startups, they definitely pick that they're so powerful, they're so big, but definitely they are not. They're just growing and surviving, and they just need support. Now, we so much appreciate Nssf for organizing such things of Career Expo, but should we expect things like more exposure platforms for different startups, for young people? So as the young people, we can showcase our startups and in a very big audience, maybe on televisions. Should we expect that Nssf will also organize for us to identify different startups for young people, and then they are given audience and maybe people get to know what they're doing? Because I'll be honest with you, they always tell us to compete globally. The SDGs, if you're having a solution that is not competing globally, you cannot go into the SDG program. So we try so much to use the internet to bridge that gap, but definitely what people see is different. Can you expect something from Nssf? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Zach, before we get more questions, out of the interest of time, I'm just going to request that your question is brief and to the point. You know, just make it a one-liner question, maybe highlight, outline, directed to who you're asking the question, in the interest of time, so we can get as many questions as possible. All right? Let's address those two first before we get more on the floor. We're going to start with Michael and Matthias. In line with what he was speaking about, you know, picking the necessary team, is it?
Curriculum.
Oh, curriculum, yes. Changing the curriculum to fit the current needs of the young people. Let's address that. And then, of course, Mr. Patrick Ayota and Barbara Arimi will be helping address the issue of available platforms for young people to be marketed and pushed through Nssf. Let's start with Michael and Matthias.
Thank you. I'll start with the last part. I'll address the entrepreneur, because we seem to be falling in the same area. And then I hope Michael has been in training, has been in working a lot with government, should be able to point a few things here and there. So about teaching people to be entrepreneurs vis-a-vis teaching people to work. I disagree that all people can be entrepreneurs. I mentioned from the beginning, if we don't have employees, Nssf would not be working, would not be here. So it is very, very important that people work. You cannot run an organization without employees. If you got all entrepreneurs as your employees, they would go after 1 week. So it is very critical that careers are very good, they are important, and we will have people who will be entrepreneurs, we'll have people who are civil society, because doing business is not for everybody. Some people want, it's easy, I go, work, get paid, I go home, I succeed. Success is not only for entrepreneurs, even employees can succeed, depending on I always define success and progress differently. Success is when you set your goals and you achieve them or exceed. Progress is when you set your goals, you might not have met them, but you're moving forward. So I want to mention that while if you're addressing the question of employment, it is true we should focus on creating more jobs. That is a valid question, but when you create more jobs, you will want people to be employed. So that is a catch-22. We want employees, but we want to create jobs. Thank you.
I think influencing curricula is really two-pronged. And for me, starting Refactory or being part of the initiative was also to hopefully trigger a reaction from mainstream education. That you're spending 4 years, but here I am taking on young people, and in 9 months, I'm getting them hired. I have people that have come from, after doing 4 years, they have come to us for 9 months and they've gotten hired, and those that have spent 4 years and not come to us are probably still searching for employment. And the reason I'm doing this and raising this is that changing systems that are so structured is not a one-day's job. Even in the US, universities are still stuck in tradition. Universities are not very simple entities to deal with. I always say universities are like elephants. They want to turn, they will first go to New Vision and then come back, because there's a point here they need to turn. The agility is not there. So they take long. If you wanted, I hope you know, that once National Council of Higher Education has approved your curriculum, you are allowed, they expect that curriculum to run for 5 years before you can submit for revision. Now, in a tech space, or even in business, 5 years is a lifetime. It's a lifetime. So we hope we can trigger. We are having these conversations with different partners. But globally, entities like Refactory are becoming a standard. Why? Because if you can't change an institution, then you have the choice to change yourself. I think Matthias spoke to the issue of entrepreneurship vis-a-vis employment. I'd actually want to have a conversation with you and say you'll become an amazing engineer if you spend time working with an entity like Nssf, because they give you the tools of how to build world-class software applications. The challenge, we are not seeing young people grow and grow very fast in their startup phase, is because most of the solutions cannot scale. And so I encourage people, even if it is 1 year or 2 years, don't kill your idea, but spend some time. Steve Jobs had to step out of Apple to come back and take over Apple and take it where it was. So sometimes you need to step out of your business. I hope that makes sense. And that, when you come back, and I think Matthias said, when you come back, you have to work in a bank to understand how institutions run. So don't just walk out of a class that is talking about employment, because your next big thing could be out of the organization that you work with.
All right, thank you so much, Michael. And then the second question that you asked to the team from Nssf, to Patrick and to Barbara, what platforms are available to the youth for them to expose and to market their creativity and get into these positions where maybe events like these, Expo, or maybe other avenues that Nssf provides for young people to get their brilliant ideas out and portrayed to the world?
I think, Cyrus, you're very right. What's happening is there's actually a big need for that. It's not that you're not out there. What you're really asking for is, can you get a brand to stand behind that product so that there is association with the product you want to bring? Comes back a little to what Barbara talked about. The brand has to be careful what it stands behind. But having said that, one of the things we've seen with the High Innovator, remember the idea, many of people think that what we do is to give you startup capital and let you go. No. We actually hang around with you because remember, I don't know whether Richard told you, we actually invested in your company. The startup capital we put in there gives us an option to basically convert that capital into 6% of your company. So we are with you the whole time. And the idea why I'm with you there is because 9 months, I want you to be ready to pitch that idea to somebody who's going to give you more money. And as you do that and you build it up, it will make sense and it works. One of the attributes of a business, and Matthias talked about, is patience. Many of us think that I have this wonderful idea, I'll be the next Bill Gates. Bill Gates started the Microsoft in 1975. That's around 45 years ago to grow to what it is today. So there's where you have to have the grit and you stay. And you stay, and you stay. So don't give up, don't rush, it will come. So one of the things we're doing also now is begin to address that question is, for the people who are going through the High Innovator program, we're now beginning to design what we call the marketplace. So the people who have gone through the program can basically now have, through our pages, whatever services they're offering, whatever products they have, so that there is visibility and an association between what you are doing and what the program has done. So we are beginning to build that because it's an important part of this.
Thank you. Patrick has actually covered everything. Patrick has covered everything, but I just wanted to speak to the first aspect of your question. When you said, okay, the education system might not support, what are we doing? But I want to focus more on the individual. What are you doing about it? Because oftentimes, there is no leveled ground and the opportunities are not just chasing after you. So I like what you're doing. You're already starting something. But to any other person out there, there are so many free courses online. And even Michael has talked about his training options. So just go and log on to something. For instance, I realized that I need to understand more aspects around financial analysis. Although I did financial management during my MBA, did financial accounting and management accounting, but I realized that when I'm sitting on a board, I need to really understand the facts behind the numbers. Because they've told you, okay, these are the profits, these are the losses. But what are the ratios? So I actually found there's a CFA program online for free. And I've registered for it. You see, eh? Because it's going to help me to understand the facts behind the numbers. So what am I trying to encourage you? Yes, there may be limitations with what we have to work with, but there are diverse opportunities out there. There's another young gentleman who did internship with us, and he sent me some links. He said, you need to actually do some of these digital courses. He's called Brighton. I don't know whether you guys interfaced with him. He was here with virtual reality. I don't know whether you interfaced with him, but then I said, okay, so that is also another thing I'm going to do. Just get some free courses online and skill yourself up. So look for those opportunities and do something about it. You can actually learn a lot. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Barbara. We want to take a question from the upper floor. We'd like to actually thank all the extra students and entrepreneurs who have joined us. Of course, we filled out the main floor, but thank you so much for those also joining on the upper floor. Zach, let me get a question here from this lady. Please introduce yourself, your name, where you're from, and your question.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Komhendo Sharon. I'm a final year student at Makerere University Business School doing accounting. My question goes to Mr. Patrick. and maybe Madam Barbara. So my question is, we are at the Career Expo 2022 for Nssf, and you're telling us our skills get us to where we want to be somehow, regardless of us having the papers or showing we are good at books. When we came to Nssf to ask for internship programs, they told us your CGPA has to be above there. But when you get us down on skills, you find that we are good with our skills, however much our CGPA is not a first class. So one of the speakers mentioned it, that if you go to ask for work somewhere, they consider your skills or what you are good at, not somehow your books, regardless of you having them. So why is it a policy under Nssf whereby if you ask for internship program, your CGPA is up there, yet they also have this where you have to expose your skills to get to where you want? Is it a system whereby you pick from this to give internship, or these are small startup businesses you're mentoring? My other question is also about the High Innovator program. I happen to work with one of the incubators or the incubation schemes that you partner with. One of the requirements is having a startup business, that a small scale business or startup business that runs with a minimum of Uganda shillings 20 million. If you go and read under it, it's there. If you go on High Innovator, it's there. Being realistic in this economy, a youth setting up a business that runs up to 20 million Uganda shillings is a startup business or a small scale business, regardless of the mentorship being given. Reaching that minimum requirement is something very huge for us. So my question is, are you going to reduce that amount for us who have the small scale businesses, or you're going to fund us to get that money? Because the funding comes in when you have pitched and got picked out. So if I don't pitch, or if I don't get that minimum amount of 20 million, which is very hard to get. So how about that? Thank you. I remain Sharon Komhendo.
All right, thank you, Sharon.
Okay, Sharon, I will just pick, but then Barbara will chip in on the CPA. Now, let me just give you a bit of a start in our, we basically admit 50 students prior to COVID every year for the internship program. We get about 1,800 applications. So resource limitations forces you to figure out how to rationalize what student do you bring in. In fact, what happens at Nssf with the internship, we open it at midnight. We announce it's going to be open at midnight and close it like at 6 a.m. Okay? Now you may say, but that's so unfair. But remember, we're trying to get and gauge who we can admit. That's 1,700. You better figure out a way on who you can let. And one of the easiest one is your GPA. You fill it on time, the first 50 GPA with a cutoff point, you take those in. The most fair, most objective way of bring that in. It tells you something about your jobs, and I'm going to say something about jobs here. I see a lot of students who come, they apply for a job. But I say it very well. About 90% of us, entrepreneurs are maybe 3% of this world. The rest 97% are going to work. And you'll be innovative and entrepreneurial exactly where you work. Now, many of you write your CVs to apply for a job. And this is what happens. I know you're a student. I'm not going to look for experience from you because I know you've been where? A student. So what do? You have your CV in bold letters. You write your names, maybe use font 14, 15, and then you're Catholic, you're a woman, you're Ugandan, and you have all these things. What good is that? Somebody comes with a 4-page CV, and the only thing they fill there is their degree and what they did. Some of the things you guys are doing are actually valuable. You may be a member of an association, a student association. You may be the secretary, treasurer, whatever it is. What did you learn about that? I'm looking for that. So don't just tell me you went to 4 years in school, you did nothing. You could even be the dance partner, whatever it is. There should be something you can put on your CV that differentiates you from somebody else. And finally, if you are coming for an interview, please, to differentiate yourself, learn a little about Nssf. There's enough information about Nssf or whoever it is. Its problems, its opportunities. So when you come come and say, I know you guys have this problem, or there is this opportunity. This is what I can do for you. So you stand out from the rest of the crowd. But that's what's going to differentiate you as you come through that process and so on. High Innovator, again, the resource constraints, 20 million shillings. We had a very big debate about that. By the way, if your idea is good, and you know you've been working on it, there are some businesses that will not even make a profit. We don't ask for profit. It's actually revenue, the turnover. That's what we're looking for. The idea is the thing you've been working out just an idea, a hobby, or a real business? So you have to prove to us that it's actually a business. And one way you look at that is, what's the turnover you've had over the last 2-3 years? So that we can actually gauge. It may not be 20 million shillings, but the idea is you're actually running it as a business. People start businesses, but they run it as a hobby. And you know it's not a business, you'll fail. So that's part of the thing. But if you have a wonderful idea, don't let that hold you back. Don't even wait until we open. Come over and tell Patrick, I have this wonderful idea. This is what I'm doing. And in there, that interaction helps us in that process. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Barbara as well.
Okay. Thank you. Again, I will commend Patrick for the very wonderful submission. And I just want to flip the coin the other side. Yeah? How many of you have social capital? Social capital is really like the relationships. You belong to a family, yes, you have friends, you go to a church, you know the priest, your father has friends. Social capital actually can turn into monetary capital. And so Patrick mentioned something about Ugandan entrepreneurs. We want to go it alone. Why? Because we want control, 100% control of your business. But what is your social capital like? I'll give you an example. About 8 years ago, I and a group of many friends, 20 of us, someone sold us land, but we all raised only 2 million shillings. Okay, at that time it was a lot, but now it sounds little, okay, because I've really been in employment, so it doesn't sound so much like it was maybe at that time. So we each raised 2 million shillings, and we bought this land. Now, an acre at the time was going at 8 million shillings. Now, 8 years down the road, the acre is going at 80 million shillings. Yeah, there's been an appreciation. If I was to buy that land alone, I wouldn't have afforded it at the time. But because we pooled our resources, we were actually 34 people. So we're able to purchase that land. Now, if we want to sell it off, we'll definitely, all of us make off with maybe about 30 million out of 2 million shillings. So what am I trying to say? Nssf, yes, can drop the bar, but you can create solutions. You have social capital. You might not be able to raise the money yourself, but you might be able to speak to someone who actually can open a door for you and then get part of your business. Because you'll find that there's a combination of people in this world. There are those people who don't have time to do what you're doing, and they're willing to partner with you if your business idea is viable. So I would encourage you, work on your social capital. And it actually depends on your credibility. Most Ugandans even, when you give someone a deal to do something like, okay, come and do for me maybe this simple task. I remember after the first career expo, there were some students who approached us and said they could build for us a site. We said, okay, let's build a mentoring site. They never delivered. So what does that tell you about your image? You know, eh? So when you promise, work on your credibility, and because you're a credible person, you'll build your social capital. And then your social capital will turn into monetary value with time. So that's what I would just like to encourage you. So that there's also that other side of the coin. Because Nssf, yes, has a solution, but it will not be able to meet everyone's need. But you can also create your own. And that's the mindset we need to have. Richard the other day said, move away from a fixed mindset. And even Michael and Matthias have both talked about it. Don't just look at one path. If I don't go through campus, if I don't get financing from Nssf, if I don't get internship, then there is no solution. Just begin to ask yourself, what solution can I create? You know? You know, if you read about success stories, sometimes people don't start with a lot of money, but they maybe start with little money and then that money grows. You see, eh? So just try to ask yourself, how do I create a solution for my problem? Thank you.
All right. Something that the MD of Nssf said yesterday, Mr. Richard Bierogaba, he said that you should not look at a problem as a way to not achieve. Look at an obstacle as a way to go around it and get to where you're actually going to be. For example, the pandemic, you know, he said, these are actually the words that he said. He said, life is meant to have hurdles. It's meant to have obstacles. The lesson in that is for you to learn how to address them, the creative solutions around those obstacles for you to get to where you're going. That's where the beauty is. How did we address the pandemic? How are we addressing our problems in entrepreneurship and tech? Now, back to the Q&A session. We had a lady in the back there. Zach, can we get the mic to her? Be very brief, please, I beg you, for time. Please be very brief. Name, institution, question, which speaker, and let's go. Also, I'll also request the speakers that we do it in a bit of a quick fire fashion so we get as many as possible before we do the final giveaway. All right, let's go.
Thank you very much. My name is Amanya Belinda and I'm a law student at Gulu University. Now, my first question goes to Mr. Michael. We were talking about transitioning of the traditional courses to a tech world. Now, it feels so ambiguous if we said we start from the top, but as Mrs. Barbara said, we could start with the individuals or the students themselves. So my question is that we that are doing those basic or traditional courses, for example, I'm doing law, how do we transition to the tech world? Because of late I was watching an advert and I'm seeing those doing medicine, the medical world is actually going digital and tech-wise, and I'm wondering, can what I am studying fit in, or I should stay in my lane? And then another question goes to Mrs. Barbara. She talked about credibility, branding, and all those beautiful things. I must say, I as a person, I've tried to work on that, to sell myself out as a brand. But what comes in is we have been exploited by people. We have presented ourselves worth it. Yes, they have appreciated, but we are in a society where when they see what is good in you, then they want to exploit you and later leave you there. And so somehow that is why when you said some people fail to deliver, those are some of the things that are happening to so many youths. And then finally, my question is that if we are having so many youths, I believe that we have youths that are visionary, youths that know what they want, youths that want to change this world. But the question is, where do they start from? Who is going to mentor them? Who is going to help them get these ideas and say, well, let us start like this, move this, I'm going to mother you, I'm going to see you reach out there. How many avenues are we having and how are we to go with that? Thank you very much. I remain Belinda Amanya.
All right, thank you, Belinda. I think these are questions for Barbara. We're going to take one more, but just to summarize what she was saying, three things. Either to stay in your lane or to venture into something out. 2, how to avoid exploitation as you push your brand out there. And then 3, avenues for mentorship in terms of branding. All right, let's take one more question, quick fire, in the back, and then we'll come to the front here as well. In the back as well, let's get one question. Quick.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yes, my name is Bright Pitier from Uganda Christian University. So I would like to ask, my question goes to Barbara. So you've talked about personal branding, and I really want to know, after you defined your values then, so didn't you, let me say, the criticism that came in, and how did you deal with that particular problem then? And then an appreciation, this goes to Mr. Patrick Ayota. This is from me, for Innovator. I personally have engaged And I did my pre-accelerator, and I'm moving on with the modules, and I encourage everyone to really participate. It's really, it answers most of the questions that you may be having.
Yeah.
So I encourage most of us to maybe go through it and go through the modules. I believe they will answer most of our questions we have. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I want to take a question for Matthias. Do we have a question for Matthias? There, gentleman in the gray jacket. Let's get a question for Matthias, and then we can answer those. Most of them for Barbara, some for Matthias as well. And then we keep the conversation going. Remember, we still have the giveaways to do, so stick around for both our online and our physical audience. If you're tweeting, if you're posting, please remember the hashtag is Nssf Career Expo, and then Nssf Career Expo 2022. Those are the two hashtags we're using for this year's Expo. Yes, sir. Your name, your institution, and your question.
All right. My name is Geroge, student Makerere University, doing Bachelor's in Information Systems and Technology. I am a passionate techno entrepreneur. I am a co-founder of NBK Technologies with my other friends. Me personally, I am interested in becoming a techno entrepreneur, a successful one. My question goes to Mr. Matthias. We have seen many successful techno entrepreneurship entities coming up, but specifically concentrating on what they call a product niche. For example, you as corporate services, you are basically concentrating in financial inclusion. How best can someone who is willing there to come up with a given project that will penetrate and create impact to the society greatly so that he can move on quickly? So I am requesting you to enlighten us how someone can move through that way so that can easily identify a given niche product. For example, in agri-tech or edutech. Thank you.
All right. So let's address those two questions. We start with Belinda's questions for Barbara. The three, staying in your lane or finding your niche. 2, avoiding exploitation of your brand as you move out. And 3, avenues for mentorships for people that want to build their brands.
Okay, thank you, Belinda. I hear you, because I've also been in that position before. You know, when you're studying or you're completing school, there's a lot of uncertainty. And so how do you avoid exploitation? Don't be desperate. That's the only way to avoid exploitation. Because when you're desperate, you'll be open to anything. That's 1. 2, get formal arrangements in place. And thankfully you're a lawyer, so if someone says they want to contract you, come up with an agreement and sign, agree, discuss the terms, and that will surely sort you out. When they actually breach the contract, you can take them to court. And then about mentorship, there are so many mentors. You just have to identify people in the same field or people who have something that you admire and then approach them. The easiest way to get these people is through your associations. I know the lawyers have a very powerful association. So through the association, attend the association gatherings and then get yourself a mentor who will not exploit you. Yeah? Check out what's the CV of this mentor, what is their credibility, what have they accomplished, and then ask them if they can mentor you. And also let another person who is in a position of responsibility in your life get to meet your mentor so that they know that so-and-so is mentoring so-and-so. And of course, define the boundaries of the mentorship. Yeah? So that is how you avoid exploitation and how to get mentoring. And then Bright spoke about criticism. Criticism is really a way of life. People will always criticize you. I mean, from childhood, others will say he has a big nose, the other one will say he has small eyes, they will say this one is like this. It's a way of life. While there are other people who are giving you the positive vibes, oh, this child is really very cute, this child is clever, others will be criticizing you. So it's a way of life. So you just have to decide and not allow everyone to speak into your life, because not everyone has a right to speak into your life. You see, so ask yourself, what is this person's motive? If it is positive criticism, embrace it. If it's negative criticism, just ignore it and move forward. That's the only way I have learned to deal with it. Thank you.
All right. And his question for Matthias.
I just want to it's something that Belinda, you mentioned. You get the impression that we think credibility is based on what people do to us. So they cheated me, they did, therefore no. Credibility is what you do to yourself. One of the basic foundation of credibility is honesty. How many of you go borrow 10K from a friend, say, you know, I'm bringing it tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, even turn off your phone. Simple thing. Those are the things, you begin to build that now so people know that you are dependable, trustworthy, honest. That will translate into monetization. Because people want to deal with those things. And these things we are so careless about. We tell lies left and right. Little things, I come and take your shirt, borrow your shirt, I don't bring it back. And we are doing it to ourselves. That has nothing to do with anybody doing anything to you but yourself. And we can begin these little things. So you build up a character that you honor your word. The biggest thing we don't even care what we say. We are careless with the words we say. We don't pay attention to the words we say. So we even lose. They say, that one is just lying. And they cannot start now. Just those little, start now. You'll be amazed where it takes you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'll address the question of the businessman who is interested in tech. And there are different ways of looking at it. And just like the Deputy MD has said, you have to look at passion and business. Sometimes people are passionate about something which is not a business. So you need to know, if I'm passionate about agri-tech, I want to develop solutions in agriculture, can they be scaled? If it is a problem, how big is the problem? Who does it affect? What is the ability to pay for the solution? So one of the key things you will have to look at is whatever you're developing, you have to wear the businessman's hat and say, okay, I'm trying to solve a problem of digitizing. I'm building an app, but you are building an app for a farmer. How many farmers in Uganda have smartphones? So you have to sit and see what I'm building. Why am I building it? For whom am I building this solution? Just like they took you through the branding process, you have to know the target market. Who are you targeting? So I must mention that the space you are looking at is the biggest. The bottom of the pyramid is the biggest market. Over 75% of our people are in rural areas. I think they are the biggest market. The question is, can they consume? If they can consume, at what price? What kind of product can you develop for them? I must mention that in most cases, just like they mentioned, people want to do their own things. But the starting point is what is happening in agri-tech or edutech. In that industry, what is happening? You could find that the solution you have could work with us. We are an established company. We are already in that space. What is it that we are doing? You need to find out what people are doing in that market. See how you can collaborate with them. So I think that's very critical. Thank you.
Very, very critical. Thank you so much, Matthias. I just want to read one particular response that came in online, and this one was directed towards Michael. Just want to come across it here. All right, we had one from Rogers already. There's just one more that was designated particularly for Michael. And this question is anonymous, but they are asking, how does one develop a digital skill set given the schedule that one has a student in a particular domain other than tech? And I think this speaks back to what you were saying in regards to how one person can be of value to a tech company or a digital company, even if they're not in the same field. You said you had friends who were, lawyers, who were in different fields outside tech, but are now also involved in that. So I think just speak on that very briefly. How does one go about developing a digital skill set given the schedule that they are a student in a particular domain outside technology?
I think the first thing is interest yourself. Give yourself a level of interest to say, I want to know how this applies. I think Belinda also asked the same question around how do you move from being a lawyer to now understanding technology. And I will say this, Belinda, and probably I'll answer the same question. We've had students who have come to us who are lawyers and have done software engineering. But because we know they are lawyers, we then guide them and say, you know, Digitech law is becoming a big thing. Now, if you're a lawyer who understands code, you're definitely much better than any other lawyer who just reads about technology. So the first thing I would challenge both the anonymous person and Belinda is that pick interest. It starts with interest. Now, once you've picked a certain level of interest, peel it a little further. Barbara mentioned do an online course. Some online courses are 1 hour, 2 hours, but they give you a level of exposition to get to understand how that then applies to you. But I'll challenge all of us irrespective of profession, have a level of digital competence where you have the level of comfort to use technology and not just I can send an SMS or WhatsApp. SMS is my age problems. But you can send a WhatsApp or send an email. Very few people out of university can actually send an email, a proper structured email. So start with that. And when you get to that level of comfort, then begin to build on.
Thank you so much, Michael. We also send SMSs, just saying. When the WhatsApp data is done, we buy and send. we are not away from us. But I'd love to just reward some of the people that have been participating today. Online, I'd love to reward Arnold Semogedere and Mutegeki Rogers, who gets the very first responses online on stage. We request you to just hit us up on Nssf UG, that is on Twitter. Slide into the DMs and send us your name and your phone number, and we'll be sending you some airtime and data as well. To the participants that have already given us questions today, we're going to give you something amazing from Nssf. It's an amazing mug that you can get your coffee on when you're typing that email and sending that SMS. You can get into it. So, Belinda, we have Bright in the back as well. We have Sharon up here who asked a question as well. So let's just pass those around as we start getting closer and closer to the reward session. Now, we're also going to reward some more data. I think there's been some very, very particular people that have been coming on a day-to-day basis. Joanna is here as well, so we'll be giving out some data to you as well. And some more participants, some more questions that we'll be picking up. We'll be giving away some more data and airtime. Now, I've been told, a little birdie whispered in my ear, that we have a representative from the UN speaking for the youth who just wanted 2 minutes, just 2 minutes of your time to help talk about Youth for Business, the Volunteers Program, and of course the Green Jobs Fund at the Ministry of Gender. I'd like to invite him on the stage right now. Very dapper gentleman. A round of applause. And just get a quick brief from him before we get into more questions and finally close with the rewards and final remarks from our speakers today.
Thank you so much, moderator, and all the people of substance from Nssf. My name is Chugong Robert. I head the Youth Coalition for SDGs. Uganda is a member of United Nations, and so they come up with various programs. So they established the SDG Hub, the National SDG Hub. It calls upon young people to come up with various projects, especially graduates. Come and submit your projects at the Youth Hub at Postel Building, if you know where the former Prime Minister's office is. This program, by the way, it's hosted by the Office of the Prime Minister for you. And UN is about you. It's not even about white people. It's about you. The SDGs are also about you. I thank the Nssf for advancing SDG 8 which is decent work and economic growth. SDG 10, which is reduced inequalities. SDG 1, poverty eradication. So what does the UN offer to you? It has a volunteers program called Graduate Volunteers Program. You can apply. This information is even available online. I want you to use your social media handles to get this information, not just to engage into other things, but you can pick out this credible information. The UN is very transparent in its programs. The UN also has a program called Youth for Business, where if you have ideas, you can approach UNDP. Even this information is online. So we help to empower young people who have programs so that we scale them up with some startup capital. The UN and World Bank have handed the Ministry of Gender. They have a program called the Green Jobs. And this is for you. So make sure you approach the Ministry of Gender. Information is already available online. So the Youth Coalition also established what we call the 100 million SDG solutions, which I call upon you to apply, come up with solutions so that you make use of them. Then the UN has established what we call the UN volunteers. When you hear of the volunteer, you may think that this is someone who is working for free. No, my friend, a volunteer earns around 11 millions. So if they call upon UN volunteers, come, we deploy you in Ukraine and other countries. Sorry, but you can choose, they can choose the country that you want. So these opportunities are available. But surprisingly, they put out a call and they fail to get people. But this information is there for you. These opportunities are for you. So while you come here to attend the Expo, I want you to go out with these opportunities. Come and approach the SDG Secretariat if you have any program, so that we benefit. You form companies, employ people, let people remit to Nssf, we both gain. Thank you so much, and I thank Nssf for this opportunity. Please make use of these opportunities. These opportunities are for you, and UN is about you. Thank you so much for advancing SDG 4, which is quality education, access to quality and equitable education, and then SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Robert Chigongo from UNDP, said, Head of Youth Coalition.
For SDGs.
All right, thank you so much. Now, would like to just remind all our viewers at home that this is the Nssf Career Expo 2022. It's day 3, and it is the grand finale. And we've been doing this since the 27th to the 29th. Now, if you have any questions, especially for our online audience who are not able to get in their final questions here, please make sure that you tag Nssf Uganda on Twitter. You can also tag me at Timothy Code, and the hashtag is Nssf Career Expo and Nssf Career Expo 2022. We'll be able to address some of those questions directly, and some of the speakers through their digital platforms will be able to answer some of your questions, especially for our live audience that weren't able to get their final questions in on the floor. I want to take about 2 more questions. There's a question here at the front. There was this gentleman here. And then one in the middle. There's a lady there in the back as well. So him, the gentleman in the middle, and the lady. Yes.
Thank you very much. My name is Tuishimiri Bertrand, and I'm doing Information Systems and Technology at Makerere University. My question is specifically to Madam Arimi and Mr. Kamgasho, because she's a marketing expert and he's dealing in a very particular business. I want to know, how do you sell to businesses? Because the consumer, like businesses which sell to consumers, you realize that it has been done a lot and there are templates on how to do that. And that's why we all know the brands of these other businesses that sell to the consumer. But when Mr. Kamgash was starting his presentation, he said that he's sure most of us do not know about service corps, because it is a business that sells software to other businesses. So I really want to know, how do you reach out to businesses? Thank you.
All right, that's one. We have a gentleman here in the blue shirt. Zach? Oh, yeah. Just make sure we sanitize the mic. Gentleman in the blue shirt here. And then we have the lady in the back there as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Henry Mutegeki. My background is software engineering and I've just completed my bachelor's. My question goes to Mr. Michael and it's themed around how to break through into the software engineering space. So there are many hurdles, but I'll just point us to one, which is the requirement of having years of experience. So you find that you've just gotten out of school, but then all the ads or the job adverts out there require you to be skilled in a certain domain, but then also to have a certain number of years of experience in that domain. So how does someone overcome that, even when they attend programs like Refactory, which gives, say, a 9 months or exposure, that may not be equivalent to the 3-year experience that they need. And then the other question relatedly is, how do we break through into the international market, in the tech space? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Final question there from the lady. Zach, we have to go around. Let's get one last question in there. And later on, we'll be joined by a special guest. You might have seen him at the Career Expo on day 1, but he's also here to talk to us before we close. But let's hear from the lady. What's your name, your institution/background, and question?
Praise the Lord, everyone. My name is Atkunda Martha, and I'm a student at Chambogo University, and I did environmental science technology. So my question is, what are the plans for a sustainable technology environment? Because there are some facts here on Google, and we know that the blockchain technology, for example, is one of the biggest rising technologies right now. So it states here that each Bitcoin transaction consumes 1,173 kilowatt hours of electricity. That's just one transaction. And that is the power, that power is like the typical power that could power 6 homes, 6 American homes for 6 weeks. So what are the, in your, let me call it in your plans, do you have any sustainable energy plans? Because if tech is rising and at the same time there are very high climate issues and the technology that is rising is causing most of these problems, then there must be some sort of contingent plan, yeah? Yeah, so that's my question. Thank you.
All right, let's take those questions. We're going to begin with Barbara and Matthias. And then I remember there was a question for Michael as well. And then I think to the whole team. So, Barbara, over to you.
I lost the mic. It's okay. Sorry, I didn't get your name. Patrick? Patrick, okay. You wanted to know how to sell business to business, eh? Okay, so I think one of the key things that we have talked about, one of the key things that we have discussed is what is that value that you want to sell to the business. That's the first thing. So if that value is clearly defined, then you need to formalize. So let's assume, for example, there are so many circles in Uganda. Let's assume maybe you want to sell a skill to the circles. Maybe you said you're into IT. Perhaps you've developed a software. And maybe like they earlier mentioned, maybe it's even an accounting software. So you cannot now just go and then go there to the business and say, I want to give you a software. You now need to package yourself. That is where branding comes in, yeah? So after you've defined your offering, you've defined the need. There's a need actually, you've ascertained there's a need. You have the solution, package your solution, yeah? You can package yourself as an individual. Develop a good CV and say you're a consultant. Because now, or just IT developer. And let it be clear that you're coming in to give the business as a consultant. You're trading as you. You can also register an entity, because now when the businesses are very formal, you cannot give your service directly. You need a company. Like for Nssf, you even have to, one, trade name, you have to be tax compliant, Nssf compliant. You actually also have to register with PPDA, the Public Procurement and Disposal Assets Entity. So when you've registered, and then now you can be able to pitch for business. So one good thing about businesses is about relationship management. You don't need to advertise a lot, like on mass media, but develop your social sites. So that when someone asks and says, okay, where's your site? You just say, okay, fine, www.this, business solutions, IT, whatever, you find me there. You know, so they can easily trace you. That gives you credibility. And then, of course, have your structure for payment, an account in your business name, you know, so that someone knows that this is a credible person. Sometimes people lose out because they sell the idea, but they are not structured. So you want to give them business, but how do you just engage a person who is not PPDA cleared? I mean, you're a reputable organization, you need to trade with a reputable person. Lastly, you have to find ways of positioning yourselves in places where you know there is business. If your target is circles, you know circles have associations. There is a microfinance association, Uganda, there's what? Find a way of putting your ad there in that publication. You know, because business to business, you don't have to play in the Crocs section. Like now putting Crocs and what, that is a retail market. If you're targeting business, you need to aspire and begin to put yourself where the businesses are, as a person and as a brand. So how you position yourself is how people perceive and say, okay, I've seen this before. By the time you walk in their office, your profile is clear, your sites are all working and functioning, and you arrive because you're going to engage. Sometimes, like, you need to ask yourself, I'm perhaps going to meet the managing director of this entity. How do I want to project myself? So you need to also look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, if I was the managing director of this entity, would I like to speak to me, or would I brush me aside? You see, eh? So if you look and say, yeah, I think I can, the way I'm looking, I feel the managing director would like to speak to me. Then you walk out of your house and go and make that pitch. But we can talk a lot more. There's definitely a lot more about business to business marketing, but that's a summary. Yeah.
Thank you. I think Barbara nailed it. From the brand to the value proposition, what are you proposing to the organization? How do you brand yourself? I'll add one or two. The first one is you need to know people. We are here for the Expo. All of us know certain people. If you meet me and say, we met at the Expo, this is the solution I have, can you check for me? Is it fit for the market? Perhaps I can help. There are other associations where you need to join to be able to meet people. There's Rotary, there's Rotaract, quite a number of associations. If you're going to run a business, you have to know people first. Then the others can be added. About the business modeling, one of the things we have used is that in the tech space, we can choose to give you a solution. We'll give you a proof of concept. You run 6 months, you're happy, you come back and we decide. So you have to look at different elements and be able to know where do I pass. But most importantly, you have to know people. You have to know people, people have to know who you are, where have you worked, who do you know, looking for validation. Who am I going to deal with? Am I dealing with the right person or the wrong person? It's very critical to know people, build on relationships, deliberate about where to get relationships, join associations. If you have an uncle who knows people, go ahead and know the people that he knows. You build your network around. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Michael?
Yeah. Henry, you asked the question, years of experience. Do you have a GitHub account? That should demonstrate the work that you've done. Because you see, when you apply on your CV, the thing that should be prominent is your GitHub profile. Because if I go to your GitHub profile and see the amount of code that you've pushed and committed, and the way you're writing your code, you could be 2 years ahead in terms of experience as compared to someone who graduated 3-4 years ago. And that's one of the things that we have discovered, that a lot of students do these small projects, but don't have them in one repository that I can go to and see your growth. And that's one of the things we've seen. So you say, even at Refactory, you'll get guys, after 9 months, you probably don't have experience. They have one thing. They have a well-structured GitHub profile. That when somebody goes in, they're able to see how you're putting your code together. They're able to see the kind of commitments that you're making. But they're able to see your growth curve. And I would say, invest in that. Whether it is a small website, whether it is a small tool, invest in that. Why? Because that is your identity. That is your identity. I see some of the students, Nina is at the back. I'll ask Nina, where's Brisa? They're two of the guys who have just gone through the experience. And they have not had an opportunity to study software engineering for 4 years. They have not. But I can tell you in the last 3 months, if I looked at their profile, they'll probably beat quite a number of people that have been to university for 4 years. Why? Because they have invested in that space. I hope that answers. Now, the international market, I would say there are a multitude of freelancer platforms. And those freelance platforms give you an opportunity to start small. But you see, like what is happening globally, businesses are feeding off ratings. A good hotel gets a good rating, it means it will have repeat clients coming. A good developer delivers work on time, it means you'll keep on getting more work. And as you get more work, you increase your price point. So I would say start with that if you're going to break into the international market. And the more you build your profile, the more your price does what? Goes up. It's really amazing that you find close to 90% or 95% of people who are doing software engineering have no idea about the freelancer platforms. And they will tell you, but this was not taught. Yes, it will never be taught. These are things you're going to discover on your very own. So I would encourage you to do that. And start small. Even if it is $1, deliver it. Within a month, you'll go to $5. Within the other month, you can go to $10. Start that. And the freelancer platforms are open. There are platforms for lawyers, there are platforms for accountants, there are platforms for data entrants, there are even platforms for people who can edit documents. There is a job for everyone on any of those freelance platforms. The most important thing, I think, is what Patrick and Barbara and we've all mentioned, discipline to execution. Many of us get too excited and take on too many jobs and fail to deliver. And your ratings begin to what? Drop. And nobody will be giving you a job. About the environmental. Interesting question. But I would say, join us. Don't be there to be a police person to say you're using a lot of energy. No. Come and let's innovate together on how we bring down the power consumption capability. Why? Because all I understand is code. All I understand is the technology. Come help me. And together we can find a way of how we optimize those operations. Why? If it works for me, hey, it works. For you, it is a big issue. For me, not a big issue. So let's work together. So invest in understanding that side of the game and why does it consume that amount of power and what could be the innovation space. And that is where innovation begins from. What is the problem and how significant is the problem? And if I solve it, who will be happy?
Thank you so much. Yes, Patrick?
I think, Martha, again, in 1940s when vehicles became basically now the means of, especially in the US, the vehicles were actually called gas guzzlers. I mean, the amount of fuel they were consuming was just obnoxious. It was too much. But what happened? Innovation led now to more fuel-efficient vehicles. Up until now, Tesla, you don't need to put fuel, you just use electricity. So the fear is not that, and what he says is very true. It now provides us with an opportunity. You guys who are here think, what do I need to do? Okay, can I make blockchain less power consumer so it becomes more efficient? And that will be a breakthrough because nobody's doing it as yet. So I think what he says, join, and then let's just look through those. That's a problem, looking for a solution.
All right, thank you so much, Patrick. I wish we could take more questions, but we have to cut right here. We have some final remarks that are coming through, and I need to announce the winners. I know everyone is dying to find out whether they won the laptop or the speaker or the data or the airtime. We're about to announce the winners in a bit. But like I said, the Nssf Career Expo 2022 was sponsored by Nssf, A Better Life, Absa Bank, Motive, Make the Future, and the Innovation Village. We're about to join the panel here, the speakers, for their final remarks on their topics today and also their feedback from you and some of the responses as well. But allow me to welcome one of our speakers from day one and the CEO of the Innovation Village, Mr. Japhet Kawanguzi. A round of applause as he joins us on stage to give his final remarks and, of course, a short speech with the speakers as well. All right?
Right. Thank you, Timothy. Let's put hands together for Timothy. I think we can all agree he's done an amazing job, right? Yes. Over the last 3 days, me and Michael were talking at the back, and we were saying if any of us started talking like him, I'm sure you guys would chase us out of this this place. But I think for me, my job here today is really simple. Is to thank you for being active participants over the last 3 days. So please put your hands together for your neighbor. Okay. And also, of course, thank those who joined the conversation online. I know you have a different experience. I don't know if the people online will win laptops too. But it's a different experience there. But thank you for following the conversations. I think for me, on day one, I said that we do things like this, career to inspire the next generation to go on to realize the potential that that they have, by just creating opportunities for them to, pick up insights. So I can confidently say you're in the right place. Pick just one thing that has been mentioned and try to begin to explore that. I think the words you used was explore, experience, engage. So explore, experience, and engage. And like I also said, let's have that long-term thinking about what we're trying to do. Nssf has been doing this particular fair for the last 12 years, and you can see how it has taken different form and shape. But you can see how it has also, inspired so many young people who have gone on to build their successful, careers. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Nssf. I thanked the team on when we started, when Richard was here. But I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Nssf and, of course, Patrick, who's here today. Patrick is a very busy man, but he has spared time to share insights, but also to inspire so many activities and lead so many activities that Nssf is also currently doing, especially the High Innovator, which is a path for young people like you who are innovating in different sectors. Appreciate other initiatives that we partner with, like Refactory, and so many others that have participated in this Expo. So, in a sense, we are grateful for the partnership, and we'll continue to explore how we can, work to unlock the potential of entrepreneurs. For those who have been asking, a lot of the work we do at Innovation Village, we have branches in Gulu, in Jinja, in Barara, and we work with entrepreneurs. We work with a community of about 3,000 entrepreneurs like yourselves. And our job is to build community. Don't go at this alone. It's a lonely journey. The hardest part of an entrepreneur, I keep saying, is not when others don't understand you. It's when you also begin not to understand yourself. Right? So don't go at it alone. We create communities like this such that you can interact with others who are trying to achieve the same level of dreams. So we have spaces across the country through our partnership with the MasterCard Foundation. We've been able to spread out to reach as many entrepreneurs in the country. And a lot of the entrepreneurs who work in those communities are building solutions around technology. But at Motive, we've built a community of people in the creative economy. Young people who are doing stuff in wood, in metal, fabric, fashion, film, media, entertainment, food. And I took a walk up here looking at some of the products that are sold by some of the young people up, and they were telling me, tell those people down to come up and buy some things. We need to make some sales. So all of this and all of these communities are for you. Please explore, engage, and experience, because we need you to answer that popular question of what can you do for this country, instead of asking what the country can do for you. So thank you very much for spending time with us, and for listening to me, and thank you very much, Nssf, for choosing to have the Expo here. It could have been in any other place, but thank you. I'd also like to thank the team that has worked so hard at this, Lillian, Lillian from the fund, and my own team, Rachel, and the other guys from the marketing team that have worked so hard to make sure, this happens behind the scenes. We appreciate all the work that you're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Japhet Kawangzi, CEO of Innovation Village. Like I said, creative hub for brilliant minds and brilliant ideas. I think we'll start with the lady here, Barbara Arimi, the head of marketing and communications from Nssf. As our day 3 speaker, your final remarks on your topic and some of the opinions that were shared today.
Okay, thank you very much, Timothy. Ladies and gentlemen, it's really been nice speaking with you today. But there's just one thing. You just need to learn how to be patient. I remember day one I was interacting with some students, and some were saying, I want to be like you. How can I get there so fast? And I said, okay, do you know how many years I've actually spent in the financial services sector? And I think it was their full life. I said, I started as an officer in 2004. Those are 17 years. And they said, okay, I will learn how to be patient. So success doesn't just happen overnight. It doesn't come in one day. You see, it takes time of being resilient and being focused at what you want to do, So just keep going, keep focused, be patient. Your breakthrough is just around the corner. Just keep going. And that is to the students. And these things of instant wealth, instant this, instant that, actually you need to learn to build the wealth so that you can keep it. you also need to learn to handle the challenges so that when you're successful, you don't fall. So just be patient and go through the process. So, well, just that's the last thing I want to say. And of course, I want to appreciate Innovation Village Motive for hosting us. Thank you so much, Japheth, for having us here. I want to appreciate our partners, ABSA. I want to appreciate all the panelists for sparing time. These people just come and volunteer. They give us free time. We are not paying anyone. So I really want to appreciate them. Of course, I have to appreciate my bosses. Patrick, thank you so much for supporting us, for believing in the cause. I want to appreciate my team. This is their idea. And, Lillian, Joseph, thank you so much. I think the rest have gone. Abba, is Abba around? Tito? Thank you so much. These people come up with ideas and, yes, Abba is right there, Tito is right there. These guys are very creative. They come up with their ideas. And sometimes my role is just to say yes to the idea. So I really appreciate them, and I really appreciate the moderator. Timothy, you've done well. Timothy Code. I prefer to use the code.
Yeah, that's the brand
And
name.
Alicia, the DJ, I didn't even know that actually it would be a good component of the Career Expo, but this is really very beautiful. I like the way everyone is doing their thing, standing in your space, doing what you're called to do passionately. That is what makes the difference. Thank you so much to you all. Thanks to everyone, and have a great weekend.
All right.
Well, thank you. Sometimes you go to a place and you don't have an idea what's going to happen. I have 3 young brothers who are kind of a bit lost trying to do what to do. I just told Michael I'm not sending them to the refectory. At least for the next 9 months, they'll be occupied doing something that I wasn't even aware was going to happen. So I'll just end with on this one point. Donald Rumsfeld was the defense secretary in the US under President George Bush, and he said the following: there are things we know, we know. There are things we know, we don't know. There are things we don't know, we don't know. Now the things we know are 10% of your potential. The things we know, we don't know are 20% of your potential. The things we don't know, we don't know. We can't even tell you. 70% of your potential. So when Timothy says, explore, engage, experience. And remember I told you that this country, this Kampala, even in your home, there are enough problems looking for a solution. Just step out of what you know. If you think you have this little energy, you have this little money, you should have come from a richer home, you should have a car, that's what you know. It's 10% of your potential. So just explore, engage, experience, and don't be scared of failing. Like Matthias said, if you don't start, there's 100% failure. So start whatever it is you're passionate about. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just have a few remarks, perhaps to reiterate what Patrick said. We are just scratching on top. There's a lot of potential in the house, questions, people interested in doing business. The challenges are immense, and you're called to the party, which is called enterprise. That's the party we want you in, so that you can employ other people who shouldn't sit and complain there are no jobs, The jobs are limited. We can be part of be part of the creative process. Thank you.
I think for me this is a huge experience and opportunity, and I think this is my 3rd Nssf Expo as a speaker. So thank you, Nssf, for inviting us to share our experiences. I don't take it for granted. My word to you is, you have 2 options: to either be part of or to be on the sidelines. But even that is a choice that has its own consequences. The opportunities are there, no doubt about it. Explore. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We're getting closer and closer to the end of this year's Nssf Career Expo, but I need to just encourage you that even when this is done, when this engagement is done, we still have displays across this beautiful venue here at Motive, and I'd love for you to just do that one thing we've been talking about, explore, you know? Just maybe take the steps onto the first floor and engage with some of the exhibitors behind the stage and on the first floor with Refractory here. There's a virtual reality set right here that I personally need to experience before I leave, but I would love for you to do just that. And all the speakers that are on the stage today, when they leave, please feel free to engage, ask a question, and you know, like we say on social media, shoot your shot. You never know where your opportunity is coming. Maybe Barbara's looking for interns. Maybe he's looking for new engineers. Someone has a brilliant business idea. Please approach any of these speakers, and even Mr. Japhet Kawanguzi, approach him with your brilliant idea, and let's see where that goes. Now, personally, because I've been involved in all 3 days, I have the privilege and the honor of thanking each and every speaker that blessed us with their time and their availability, and all the partners who made this possible. First and foremost, the Nssf Career Expo, sponsored by the title and lead, which is Nssf A Better Life. Also sponsored by ABSA Bank, and also sponsored by Motive, this amazing venue that's hosting us today, Make the Future. Come here and let your ideas blossom. And last but not least, the Innovation Village. Like I said, it's a creative hub for brilliant minds and brilliant ideas that want to see them come to life. So head over to the Innovation Village for just that. Day one, I would love to thank Mr. Richard Sekamade from MTN, the General Manager for HR. I'd like to thank the Managing Director of Nssf, that is Richard Biarugaba. I'd like to thank the CEO, Innovation Village, Mr. Japhet Kawanguzi. And also for day one on the speakers, I'd like to thank the Managing Director of ABSA Bank, Mr. Mumba Kalifungwa. Thank you so much for your time and your knowledge and your expertise. For day two, I would like to thank Mr. Brian Namanya, the co-founder of Tovayo. I'd like to thank Ms. Violet Ampire, the CEO of Wena Hardware. And I would like to thank Mr. Vincent Tumijuche, the CEO of FutureLink Technologies. If you were here yesterday, you remember he told us his story about 31st of December 2005, where he was lying on the ground and pondering his life, and then he clicked an idea. So if you've been in that position as well, I know I've been in that position, maybe this expo will be that click in your mind, that switch that says, now is the time to start working on a brilliant idea. I'd also like to thank Mr. Herbert Olowo, the Head of Operations and IT at ABSA Bank, for your time. Thank you so much. And of course, to today's speakers that have been very gracious with their time and joining us on stage, giving us their knowledge, giving us well-presented presentations, and of course, being quick to answer some of your questions, both here and the ones online. I'll start with Michael Niyategeka, the Programs Director of Refractory. Thank you so much for your insight. I'd like to thank Mr. Matthias Kamugasho for sharing and also expanding our knowledge on something new. You mentioned it was a field that not all of us are very conversant about, but I feel that after this engagement, you have opened up our minds to, like we said, new opportunities, all right? Thank you so much to Barbara Arimi, the Head of Marketing and Communications. You were my tag team partner on day one. Thank you so much for that. And for sharing what it takes to, you know, put out a personal and corporate brand that can be respected. And of course, the Deputy Managing Director, Mr. Patrick Ayota. Yes. Thank you so much for giving us insight. And of course, reminding the youth that Nssf has these different platforms, the financial literacy platform, the High Innovator. We have one of the representatives who have been part of it here. just reminding the youth that this is a Ugandan-owned company and that it is here for the benefit of Ugandans. Thank you so much. Special thanks for the team, for myself. I'm sorry I'm saying so many thank yous, but I have to because it takes a village. No pun intended, but pun intended. It takes a village to put together this expo. So from my immediate team, Emma, Biarohanga, Lillian, Tito, thank you so much. The team from Fenon, you guys have been amazing. I love working with you guys. Just a round of applause. A big round of applause for the Nssf Career Expo. All right. Now it's giveaway time. I know you've been waiting. I need to walk away with something. I don't want to leave without something. Yes. Now we need to. Okay. All right. Well, allow me to just request kindly to release our Deputy Managing Director, Nssf, Mr. Patrick Ayota. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're rushing to office and you want to get some work done. Thank you so much. We appreciate. All right. A round of applause for Mr. Patrick as he steps off the stage. Very insightful. And yeah, we're getting into the reward session. Remember, we'll have a personal Q&A. Thank you so much. A personal Q&A with any of the panelists before they leave. Now, just to reiterate, day one winners, we had Helena Nensima. She won a laptop. We had Buyinga Isaac Nambafu. He won the JBL Bluetooth speaker. And then online, and also some of the winners that we have here, we had Arnold Semogerere, who are winning hampers. These names I'm reading are winning hampers. Arnold Semogerere, Justin Kinyera, Nyabache Catherine, Albert Bahirwa, Francis Muonge, Awino Jean, Mwasham Mariam, Nkugwa Mark William. DJ, you can give us some background music so it doesn't sound like I'm reading a whole roll call list. Margaret Nambazira and Ali Mugonza Richard. Those are our day one winners. Day two winners for the laptop, we had Samuel Sajja B. And Elvis Owora, which leaves us with day three. And this is where it gets interesting. DJ, just give me something really low, because we want to get into it. So I'll start with the hampers. For all our people listening, watching us online, we have some amazing hampers we'd love to give you. Where's Zach? Where's Zach? Zach, where are you? Zach, where are you? Zach, where are you? All right, let's just proceed. So, for the hampers winners, we have Mukunde Brisa, we have Richard Ali Mugonza, we have Joel Wizen, we have Catherine Navache, Esther Chomushabide, we have Joan Hope Sema Ganda, we have Businje Jordan, Christine Nanono, Lanek James, and Joshua Nagenda. And it's time for the final giveaway. Allow me to release Mr. Matthias Kamugasha and Barbara, or you want to stay and give away something? I don't know. Maybe I can release you now. But it's time for the final giveaway for the big prizes.
Enjoy and please subscribe.
Time for me to also shake my legs a little bit. It is Friday. So, day three of the Nssf Career Expo. Walking away with the JBL Bluetooth speaker is Richard Mugisha. Congratulations of the JBL Bluetooth speaker on day three of the Nssf Career Expo. And last but not least, dramatic, yeah? It's like the Oscars. The winner of the laptop for day 3 of the Nssf Career Expo 2022 is none other than Mbusa Joseph. Joseph, congratulations in the building.